Let's get ready to rumble!
Booker, this is for the win. Got it!
The champ is here!
Cam Johnson cutting. And a can.
The champ is here!
Lead pass of a hand to the board.
The champ is here! The champ is here!
22.5. Book on the crossover. Gets inside and hammers it down.
Clock ticking. Kaminsky. Crowder to tie. Oh, no! All against Randall. Crossover. Pullback. Spin. Throws it up with the basket. Oh, it goes in. Chris Paul with a circus shot.
Suns. Booker for the win. Yeah!
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Valley Podcast. This is a little bit different than what me and Gabe are used to. We're not used to doing a playoff preview. So it's good that we can be here on a Saturday night, but we have some special guests. We have, of course, the illustrious at Gabe Von Carter. How you doing, bro?
I'm doing good, man. It's 3 days in a row with doing a podcast. I'm getting the hang of it.
Awesome. I'm loving the content that everybody's putting out. Everybody, please go follow Romp 2.0 as well, too. But we also have Tory from Blazers Uprise. What's going on, bro? How you feeling?
I'm in off-season mode. I know you guys aren't, but I am.
We're sorry to hear it, man.
We know how that feels.
we got to celebrate a victory last night, so
We really like the Blazers, and we just can't stand those filthy Nuggets. Oh, I forgot Steven was here. Steven, that was a lie. I didn't mean any of that.
How can you hate the great one, Jokic? How can you hate on him?
That's true. We don't.
I don't know if there's anybody that actually hates him, but we do have Stephen Priest Jr.
Nick
from
Wright
Behind the Glass
Skip
podcast.
Bayless do, for sure.
Well, Skip Bayless is wrong at everything.
Yeah. No, thanks guys for having me. I appreciate it. It's always fun to hop on with you guys.
It's going to be a good show. It's going to be a good preview. Hopefully we'll be able to go on a few more times during this series. But first, I kind of want a reaction before I get into your guys' playoff experiences and roller coasters from the last series. I kind of want to get your guys' opinion of Phoenix just beating the Lakers. I don't think anybody here picked Phoenix to win. Did you? Call it now if you did.
I picked
you
Phoenix.
Did?
I was okay. So we did our playoff preview show. Me, Eric, our four mods, our chat. Right, 6 people voted for the Lakers. I was the only one that was willing to
verify it. I was watching it. He did. He
Thank you.
Suns.
I got you guys. I'm smart.
Thank you.
And then I had you beating my Blazers as well in the second round. Obviously, the Blazers did not pan out for me, but I did pick you guys.
Yeah, no, I didn't. We talked about it on our when you hopped on with us, Coach. I mean, I didn't foresee Ayton doing what he did. I don't think anybody saw that coming.
No,
and I didn't think LeBron and AD would be that hampered by injury. That was crazy to me. But also, I didn't. It was for me. It was, how is Devin Booker going to look in this moment? There's certain players that elevate in the playoffs, and there's certain players like, we saw it with Julius Randle, who played really well in the regular season, and then come time for it, they don't answer the call. And Devin Booker didn't only elevate his game. I mean, he's playing, him and Jokic might be playing the best ball in the entire playoffs right now. He looks unstoppable. But no, I mean, I thought it was going to be LA in 5 or 6. But I think you caught them at the perfect time. And even though there was injuries, I don't think anything should be taken away from the Suns because they won it. Now, it's obviously anytime you can catch the Lakers shorthanded or, limping a little bit, that's best case scenario. But Phoenix not only took care of business, but they sunned them. They manned them. This is your little kid, little brother, go home now. and let the big boys move on. So that was impressive to watch from such a young team, and without Chris Paul being Chris Paul. So
at all. He had one game with 18 points, and I don't even know how he made that many shots to get there because every shot looked hobbled. Tory, thoughts on Devin Booker? 47 points and going off to send the Lakers home.
I mean, I gave Gabe crap because he was worried about Kendall Jenner, and right afterwards, that was right before Game 5, and he had a good Game 5, and then Game 6 he pops off. So, yeah, I don't know if you need to worry about Kendall Jenner. I don't know if she has the Kardashian effect.
I think he's proved that he's past that curse, right? I think he fixed that curse.
I mean, you dropped 47 in a closeout game against the Lakers on the road in a Game 6. That's huge. That's huge. And he had it seemed like he would have big moments in some games, but wouldn't really put it all together. He would have a big first half, be kind of quiet for the second half. So it was kind of nice just to see him have a complete game. I think that's going to be a good sign for him going up against Denver in this upcoming series, which we can obviously preview in a bit. But, that's going to be a handful for Denver to deal with. He's coming in to that series on a high note. So I was impressed with him. I was impressed with how he played in his first playoffs.
Yeah, we all were. Big Dick Booker absolutely showed up, and I can't wait to see if that can actually carry over into the next one. But before all that, a big bomb dropped on Portland media yesterday, and everybody was absolutely ecstatic about it, and that's obviously Stotts is fired. Hashtag Stotts is fired. You guys couldn't even enjoy it because 4 hours prior to that, it's already being reported that Jason Kidd is a big time potential candidate for being a coach there. I mean, I haven't even talked to Steven about it, and he's already shaking his head. We know where that is. I know where you guys are standing on it. I mean, there's Chauncey Billups out there. There's quite a few other guys. But when you heard Jason Kidd, what was your first gut reaction?
I mean, I heard about a month ago, so I figured he was going to be lumped into it. So it wasn't just that visceral gut reaction, but just no thank you, because he's basically Stotts 2.0, but not as good of a person. Now, we just need a change in general. So even if we hire him, I think it might be good just because we needed a new voice in the locker room no matter what. It seemed like Stotts kind of lost this team this year. But no, Jason Kidd, I have people that are now giving me crap for wanting Stotts gone, and they're saying, see, look, it could always get worse. Now they're talking about Jason Kidd, and it's like, no, I wanted Stotts gone so we could replace him with somebody good, not Jason freaking Kidd. So, yeah, if he ends up being the hire, I'll give him a chance. I'll be open-minded, but I really don't want that to be the hire.
Torey, you had to get the dragon slayed first of all, and the dragon's been slayed. So now that you've ripped that Band-Aid off as an organization, it's going to be a lot easier for them to turn around and fire Kidd's ass if it seems necessary.
But we don't got time, man. We don't got time. If it's 2 years a Kidd, Dame's going to be 33 after that. We don't have time to screw around. We got to get this hire right because we don't have much of a window. We got to get this hire right. We got to make the right personnel moves this offseason because we've kind of screwed around the past 3-4 years of Dame's prime. We get swept by the Pelicans. Last year we were injured, but we still underachieved, in my opinion, and got a hard first-round matchup against the Lakers. This past offseason I thought was great. I thought the personnel moves we made were legit. I thought we had maybe the most talented playoff team we've had in previous years, and we go up against an injured Denver Nuggets team and we lose in 6. So it's time to stop screwing around. I can't sit through 2 years of more Stotts type stuff with the Jason Kidd hire. We got to get this right now because we don't have much time left.
So I really want to get into the Denver series, but the first follow-up question, or the only follow-up question I really want to ask, is that hires happen from the top down, meaning Neil Olshey. Thoughts on him? Surprised he's still there? Do you think he's going to nail it? Do you have confidence in him? Go.
I think he wants Billups because he and Chauncey Billups have a close relationship. He was GM of the Clippers, I think, when Billups was there. So I think Billups is the guy that Olshey wants. And then Dame came out and said he wants Jason Kidd. And then you got Chris Haynes.
Wild.
Yeah, you got Chris Haynes saying they're going to do like a full interview process with a number of candidates and Dame's going to be involved. But if I had to bet, it's going to come down to Chauncey Billups and Jason Kidd, like Shams tweeted last night. And that's because Dame wants Kidd and Olshey wants Billups. I would definitely prefer Chauncey Billups as a head coach there. But, I mean, as far as Olshey goes, he gets a lot of heat from a lot of people. It's a lot of people that think that, you know, he decided not to trade CJ for James Harden. I think he offered CJ for James Harden, just got turned down. It's a lot of people thinking that he just has absolutely refused to trade CJ, and that's why they don't like him. I don't think that's the case. I think they'll be aggressive with potentially shopping him now that we have Norman Powell. I think he's been good the past 3 years. I think we had a really good roster. So recently I've been pretty happy with his performance. So I'm cool giving him another year, giving him this offseason, and giving him the chance to have his roster under what should hopefully be a better coach.
Got you.
But he has to get the hire right. If he doesn't get the hire right, I mean, because
if you guys don't get the hire right, this is going to set your franchise back for another 3 to 5 years, potentially.
Well, it's just going to waste the rest of his Dame's
going to waste his career. He's going to want out. Bad media. All your other players are going to want out. It's just going to be a trickle down effect from there.
Yep.
Unless you get a trade package for Dame in 2 years, but we don't even need to go there right now. Obviously, Lakers Twitter already wants to. You've seen Damian Lillard. I've seen Damian Lillard jersey stuff in a Pacers jersey. I've seen him in a Heat jersey, a Knicks jersey, already a Clippers and Lakers. Suns fans are even freaking doing it. I've seen it everywhere. So you have a hot commodity and you can't waste him.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, if I was a fan of an opposing team, I'd want him too. But I know you guys can relate with the Buck stuff you had to deal with in the past couple of off seasons.
And Stephen Priest can absolutely relate when it came to Melo. So all of our poverty, small town franchises know exactly what that's like. Ultimately, Stotts got fired because you guys lost 4-2, which means Steven over here got to celebrate and go into another series. But you didn't pick the Blazers, or you didn't pick the Nuggets to win. You were afraid, Stephen Priest Jr.
Oh, I was.
What about Portland going into the series worried you?
Well, it's Damian. Okay. So, I mean, anytime you face Lillard, it's just having faced him in 2019, you just know what he's capable of. Okay. And having watched his career in the playoffs, you know what he's capable of in big moments. So that's first and foremost. But really it came down to the Nuggets are just still obliterated in the backcourt. No Will Barton, who's your fourth best scorer on the team. No PJ Dozier, who outside of Monte Morris is probably your most important role player coming off the bench. And listen, I mean, they have Facu Campazzo, who's a 30-year-old rookie who's never played in the NBA before.
Who Chris Paul abused the 2 times we played him, by the way.
You have Facu Campazzo. You have Austin Rivers, who was out of the league for 2 months, just sitting on the couch. You have Marcus Howard, who is a 2-way rookie player, getting minutes in the playoffs and getting minutes going down the stretch of the season. And then you had Shaq Harrison, who the Jazz got rid of, 2-3 months ago. So that's the Nuggets
legend.
Right. And that's what the Nuggets backcourt was comprised of. And for a while there, Monte Morris was hurt to end the season. So, I mean, you're going into the playoffs and, it's Monte's back, but you can't expect a guy to just pick up where he left off in playoff basketball, which is why I have major concerns about Will Barton if he comes back and PJ Dozier if they come back in the Suns series. But yeah, I thought Portland would take it in 6. I just didn't think Denver had enough firepower. As good as MPJ is, you're talking about a second-year player going into his second playoffs as the number 2, as a 22-year-old. So it's grow up, kid. Now you have to not only fill the shoes of Jamal, but when Jokic is seeing doubles or he's not on, it's on you now to carry the load. And so I thought Portland was going to take it in 6. Though that backcourt is just dynamic. You saw what they did to the Nuggets in 2018. And yeah, I was scared. I definitely thought they were going to lose in 6, and I was surprised. I'm still surprised that they won. I don't know how they did it. Well, I do know. I mean, it's Jokic, but
and Terry Stotts. You got to throw the Terry Stotts in there, man.
So, Tory, you and Eric were pretty candid that this was the matchup that you guys wanted.
Mm-hmm.
You wanted Denver. Why?
I just felt like our weaknesses with our style of play, Denver wouldn't really be able to exploit, because we love running drop scheme or switching our bigs onto guards. And given their backcourt, you got Morris, you got Campazzo, you got Austin Rivers. I felt like their backcourt wasn't really built to destroy that, because you can't drop on a Devin Booker. You can't drop on a Chris Paul. That's why you guys obliterated us this season, is because we're running that sort of scheme on pick and rolls, and you guys can get pretty much whatever you want out of the pick and roll. So that was one of the reasons. I also think Nurkic might be our best individual defender. I figured if anybody could kind of do a decent job one-on-one against Jokic, it's Nurkic. And honestly, he did a solid job against Nurkic, just got into too much foul trouble. And then when Nurkic was off the floor, they crushed us. So that was part of the reason as well. It was just like, they also don't have trapping bigs, or bigs that are like super athletic that could get up and trap Dame. That's always been a problem with us in the playoffs, is teams trap Dame. We don't have an answer. Part of the reason we don't have an answer is because of our coach, and we don't really set the floor up to exploit when we get trapped. So that's why I thought it was a good matchup. Jokic's going to get out and trap Dame. Dame can maybe turn the corner on him where he couldn't back in 2018 against an Anthony Davis in that Pelican series. I just thought the way they were built, the way they were constructed, we have issues with our style of play that always hurts us in the playoffs. But the way they're constructed, I didn't think they were going to be able to exploit it. And it turns out our issues with our style of play, even worse than I was thinking they were going to be in the series, they still end up winning in 6. So it's why Stotts needed to go. Our style of play does not translate to playoff success under him. And I think that was the biggest reason kind of for our downfall.
So a couple of the things that the Suns did to beat the Lakers was, I think Devin Booker needed to be a star. We didn't get completely murdered on rebounding, and we avoided the turnovers. What are things that the Nuggets did, Steven, to beat the Trailblazers? If you were to sum it up in 2 or 3 key characteristics that could, be a positive moving forward against the mighty Phoenix Suns, what are some things?
Well, I mean, it's a cop-out to say Jokic, but I mean, here's the interesting, scenario when you have to play Nikola Jokic. The team averages more points per possession when teams double him. So it's actually worse to double him statistically than to play him one-on-one, which is what you saw a lot of with Portland. They didn't really double him. It was Nurkic straight up. It was Covington when he got switched on him. Cantor was just unplayable after game 2. Jokic he made him unplayable. But I think it really just came down to Jokic made the right decisions. And when they did double, the others made big plays. I mean, that was really it. Like, it was, Facu had moments. Austin Rivers had big shots down the stretch. I just think those guys, it's really the others. MPJ, even though he had moments in games, he had halves of games. He still has yet to put a full playoff game together. But each other held their weight when Jokic went out. And I thought for the most part, the Nuggets did well in winning the non-Jokic minutes. That's crucial because, when Jokic goes to the bench, I'm holding my breath. It's how can we hold on to this lead? Because you got lineups in there that can't really score without him. And he facilitates everything. He is the offense. Everything's ran through him. So I just thought they did well at, the others stepping up when they needed to. And I think at the same time, too, they got fortunate because CJ, I don't think really had a good series. And, Nurkic, he didn't do them any justice by not staying out of foul trouble. Now, was every foul on him warranted? Probably not. But, I mean, that can't happen, especially when you don't have a backup big that can come in and play Jokic. I mean, Cantor, like I said, was unplayable. If you put Covington on him, there's just nothing you can do with that. And so at that point, you have to help. And once you help, then Jokic swings it, and that's when you get the Austin Rivers threes. So it was just a really good team effort to beat that team. It really was. They did nothing really defensively well, because Dame had a really good series. I mean, the 55-point game, I could tell you that much. But I just thought they played team basketball. The Nuggets are, if there's anything you can see with this team, is that they never say die. They're the villain in the movie that you think you kill, you shoot him in the head, and he gets back up. Is why won't you die? Why won't you just go away? And that's just what they are. You saw it in last year's playoffs when they should have lost twice down 3-1. And you see it this year, when they're shorthanded and somehow they come away with a win. I still don't think Denver should have won this series. I really don't.
And when I was DMing you earlier, you were down on Denver and Phoenix. So you're just down on your team, and they just keep coming back to surprise you. And
I think Denver loses in 5. I don't see how they
already.
Get past 5. I don't see how they get past 5. I just don't.
All right. But you just say they have that never die attitude, which is what I think me and Gabe said that about the Suns all season. Like, even when we were down 30 in games, we had a tendency to come back. But Tory, take your fire Stotts hat off right now, okay? What did the Nuggets do to beat the Blazers? What did they do specifically? Not the coach. What did you see on the court that they did?
I don't think there was anything they did schematically, or I don't think I can't find any way to really credit Malone outside of him firing up his team after Game 4, which I think worked. It was just a situation where Nurkic did fine one-on-one against Jokic. Nurkic, I think we were a plus 30 or a plus 40 over the course of the series with Nurkic in the game. The problem was when Nurkic wasn't in the game and Jokic was, and we're guarding him with a canner, that crushed us. In Game 3, first game at home, we come out, we're up 26-20. We sub Cantor in. There's 5 minutes left in the first quarter. I don't even think Nurkic was in foul trouble. When we sub Cantor in, 5 minutes left in the first quarter, Denver immediately goes on a 19-4 run. Jokic starts eating, and it was frustrating because it was a situation where, like, you can guard Jokic one-on-one with Nurkic. Obviously, he's such a great passer. They score more points per possession when he gets assists, or what was just said, but you cannot guard Jokic one-on-one with a Rocco or a Cantor, okay? You got to provide him at least different looks and at least a little bit of help, and it was kind of like we just left those guys on an island and Jokic just ate. So that's a similar situation with you guys. You guys got Ayton to throw up against him, but off the bench you don't have a legit defensive big. You got to switch up looks, and you got to provide some help. When Jokic puts the ball on the floor, then send a second guy, and he's going to make the kick out pass, and they might get open looks, but you guys are better at this than us. You got to just try and rotate back out to those guys. And if you do so correctly, they may not get an open shot and the ball's out of Jokic's hands. We didn't do that. We just let, Cantor, Rocco defend Jokic on an island, and we really struggled in those non-Nurkic minutes. And that was really the biggest downfall for us. They played better defense than I thought. They trapped a little better than I thought. Jokic played better pick and roll defense than I was expecting. I've heard that he's been an improved defender this year. I feel like a lot of Blazer fans might have been underrating his defense going into the series. Obviously, he's no AD, but I thought Jokic, for his standards, had a solid defensive series as well. Dame was able to have some moments, but there was other times, especially kind of down the stretch in Game 6, where Dame was just really struggling to get space. And I thought Denver's defense was pretty solid, especially there in the final moments of that series.
So a lot of the things that you're saying, I see how the Phoenix Suns can translate. We have an innate ability to be able to help and recover at a fairly elite rate. And we saw that against LeBron. LeBron would drive, 5 guys have a foot in the paint, he would kick it out. 9 times out of 10, there's a guy right there. Now, the difference is we're not going to have KCP or Dennis Schroeder shooting. We're going to have MPJ and guys that can actually knock down shots. That's what I'm worried about for the Suns going into the series. So to kind of transition into this, I found a really, really interesting stat. And it is for the regular season. Get this, Gabe. Offensive rating, the Denver Nuggets had a 116.3. The Phoenix Suns had a 116.3.
Yipes.
the exact same offensive rating. So somehow they came up with in the algorithm, it's Denver was over Phoenix, but they had the exact same offensive rating. And defensive rating, the Suns were 6th and the Nuggets were 11th. So, Gabe, this isn't going to be a pushover team like Steven thinks. If this was Suns in 5, I'm super happy about that. But we're facing another tall team, right?
Yeah.
A better rebounding team than the Suns. Suns were like 26th in rebounding or 23rd. In rebounding this year. You guys are obviously much higher than that. You have guys that can knock down a 3, which if anybody could make a shot on the Lakers, they still could have potentially beaten us, but they shot like 29% for the series. You guys are not going to do that. But again, we have a way of helping and recovering at an elite rate. And we have guys that we can throw at you. We have a Mikal Bridges with his long ass reach that can step up and try to contend MPJ. We have a Tory Craig now. Thanks so much, by the way, for him. And a Jay Crowder.
For that one.
Nah, y'all let him walk. So thank you. Thank you. But we have Crowder and Craig that can go up against an Aaron Gordon. But I did see a lot of Aaron Gordon guarding Booker stuff this year or today on Twitter. I'm not looking forward to that. I think if Aaron Gordon guards Booker and it's successful, that's going to be interesting. I don't know who they're going to throw at. Maybe you try to hide Austin Rivers on Mikal Bridges.
Yeah, but aren't they liking Austin Rivers now? Aren't you guys feeling Austin?
He fits in there the way Jordan Clarkson fit in Utah. It just worked.
Ew.
19 points a game. It just
Well, I'll say
worked.
this.
Austin Rivers, I'll never believe that. The way people never believed that the Suns would ever beat the Lakers in the first round, I'll never believe that Austin Rivers is good. If he's good, it's an aberration. If he's good, it's an accident. And if he's good, it's not going to last, bro. I'm better than Austin Rivers, bro. F Austin Rivers.
I've seen you play, Gabe. You're not better than Austin.
You're better. You're probably right, but you're better. I'd rather have Torey than Austin Rivers, bro.
I'll say this: Austin Rivers is actually a really good defender. He's a sneaky defender.
I'm gonna look so dumb if he torches us, bro.
He's an underrated defender. I can agree
He's going to be that dude that's going to be hitting threes, but guarding Book, I don't know if you can. I think you got to try to move him out and try to mask him a little bit on Mikal, who did not have a good offensive series by any means, but maybe that opens it up too. So what your guards are going to do against our guards is ultimately going to be where it's at, because Ayton and Jokic, I think, are just going to be, what's the saying, the immovable rock and the stone or whatever. That's just, they're going to be going right at it. I could see both of them averaging 25 and 12. You know what I mean? So they're just going to cancel each other out to a point, just stat-wise. And it comes down to the guards. And I saw a lot of tape today on Campazzo just having absolutely no luck against a healthy Chris Paul. He just abused him. And if you're going to have Austin Rivers on Booker, I like that matchup 9 times out of 10. So what are you guys going to do to slow down the Phoenix Suns, Steven?
Well, I don't think it's going to be Austin Rivers. I think if I had to guess what Malone's going to do, I think he's going to put Aaron Gordon on Devin Booker.
Yep.
I think Facu is going to play. I think they'll maybe start him on Chris Paul because, listen, he's given up, normally at least 5 inches to the next point guard. He's 5'10", maybe.
Chris Paul's only 6 foot, so
right. Well, and some people question if Facu's even 5'10". Some think he's probably like closer to 5'7", 5'8". But here's the thing about Facu: he's of that Patrick Beverley mold to where he's always in your stuff. He's just one of those guards that he's just pestering you, and he's actually sneakily good at getting through screens and past screens. He's very quick. He's got great hands. Now, that's not to say that he's going to, stop Chris Paul or anything like that. But if I had to guess, I would say it's Gordon on Booker, Austin on either Chris Paul or Mikal. I think they're going to hide MPJ on Jay Crowder and go from there. I think that's how I would see it playing out. I wouldn't be shocked if maybe they started Austin Rivers on Booker to begin the game, and then late game situations, you see Aaron Gordon
change it up,
go on Devin Booker. I think Aaron Gordon, he's Immediately after the trade, he was fantastic defensively. Once kind of Murray and all those guys went down, I thought his play dropped off slightly. He's a really good defender. Is he elite? I don't know, but he's a really good defender. So I think he struggled a little bit at times with Dame when they had him on him, because I think Dame's just quicker. So I think he struggles with those guys. Booker's a little bit bigger. He's more of that 6'5", 6'6" range. Whereas Aaron Gordon, I think, will be a little bit better keeping up with him. Now, again, I don't think this is going to shut Booker down by any means, but you have a guy who's a legit 6'8", 6'9". I think that'll make things a little bit more tougher than what KCP did, or Schroeder
KCP didn't do anything.
Right.
I mean, Caruso was Devin Booker's best defender. Gabe, I don't know if you remember the Phoenix Suns' tragic loss to the Orlando Magic this year, and then the next day everybody got traded. And that very last shot by Booker, who was guarding him? Aaron Gordon. Aaron Gordon guarded him that game, and Book. I don't know how many points. If anybody remembers, I'll look it up later how many points he had. But he did not have a good output. So when you're hearing that, what are your initial thoughts?
Well, first I want to apologize to Blazers Uprise fans because they were desperate for Aaron Gordon, weren't they?
No.
Hey, it seemed like
I'm not even going to let you joke about that.
So was that
No way.
sarcasm in the chat? I know you weren't.
It's a running joke. Okay, our media wanted to trade CJ McCollum for Aaron Gordon. That's been a thing that we've made fun of him for. So the sarcasm is making fun of the media, who was just desperate to trade CJ for Aaron Gordon.
Sometimes I'm in your chat, and
it's a running joke.
It's right over my head,
We got a lot of inside jokes, a lot of running jokes. That's one of them.
You do.
It just basically we think everybody kind of overrates Aaron Gordon around here.
I like Aaron Gordon. I wanted him on the Suns, but I also want Porzingis, and I'm the only one in the room right now that wants Porzingis. So
you're an idiot.
Yeah,
exactly.
Averaging 13 points right now in the series, getting paid $29 million.
Put him in ours. Put him in our system. Replace Kaminsky with him. Oh, it'd be curtains.
Would Porzingis be any worse if he was like 6'7" instead of 7'3"? Like that's just a waste of 8 inches, dude.
He hates playing next to Luka. But back to your Aaron Gordon question. All right, I'm not happy about Aaron Gordon being a great defender, which I believe he is, and I don't like how well he guards Booker. That's troublesome. That will be something to really keep an eye on. And I just don't think I love the bravado, but I don't think we're going to win in 5 or 6. I mean, maybe 5 or 6 if everything goes well and Chris Paul is healthy. But I could see them taking us to 7.
So could I.
Let me touch on the Aaron Gordon thing, because I want to touch on the Aaron Gordon thing. If he's guarding Booker, you got to run him through screens. And that's what we struggled to do. That's what we failed to do with Dame. He's defended Dame pretty well in isolation. He's bigger. He's a good on-ball defender. Can guard guards on the ball. I wanted us to just start running Dame through screens and see how he got through screens and see if he could keep up with Dame running without the ball. You know what I mean? Because I felt like we were going to be able to maybe force a switch, get Dame a better look coming off a screen, that sort of thing. And we didn't do that. So if Gordon is guarding Booker, I think that's kind of going to be the key, is just running him off ball, running him off screen, seeing if Gordon can keep up.
So, Steven, do you guys switch in those situations? Or are you guys fighting through? What does Denver generally do then?
In that situation, if I'm guessing what Malone will probably do, I think he'll want Aaron to try and fight through those. Because, I mean, if Booker's going to do like what Luka's doing, and he's calling out, oh, Pat's over there, come here. Or this guy's over here, you come screen for me. You don't want Facu or, one of those guys to be able to switch on to Booker. Ideally, you'd want him to fight through the screens. So that's what I think Malone would probably do. You'd want Aaron Gordon to fight through those screens. But again, if it's Austin Rivers, you'd probably want him to fight through the screens as well. At this point, I'm just curious to see, and my co-host Brandon and I were talking about it on our pod today. How do you go about defending Phoenix? What's the best way to do it? Do you play Do you play drop against Booker to take away the lob and stay home on the shooters? Or do you meet him at the screen, hard hedge, but then you swing and kick? So essentially you're doing what LA did in the first few games. You're trying to get the ball out of Booker's hands, but when they did that, Phoenix killed them. When the swing was over to McHale or Cam Johnson, that's a 3 almost every time. Jay Crowder came on at the end of the series. So that's what I'm interested to see. I think if it's me, I personally, if I was Malone, let Devin Booker go off. Stay home on everybody else. Because I want him to score, but I want everybody else to not be in a rhythm. Because once you get the rest of the team with confidence, then it's over with. I don't want Ayton getting the Clint Capella dunks, a la Houston with James Harden and running those screens. That's me. I think that's what I would sacrifice is Booker getting 30 each game and then staying home on those guys. Because the last thing you want to do is try and force it out of his hands. You give those other guys confidence. Then you try and, overcompensate and play those guys. And then Booker's go on one-on-one. I just would rather take my chances that way. I don't know if Malone will do that, but I think that's what I would do.
I think the key to that will be how healthy CP3 is. Because if CP3 is healthy and able to kind of take the ball out of Booker's hands and then orchestrate the offense from there, it's going to be hard to just let Booker score and take away everything else because they have such a good facilitator and somebody that runs the offense so well as well as scores next to him. That's why I think Phoenix is just so much better this year. If CP3 isn't fully healthy, then that might be the strategy that could definitely work.
The thing that I like, what I'm hearing from you that I like, is that when Phoenix, their base offense is a 52 offense, so they got 2 guys posted up in the corners and 2 guys on the elbows, and Devin Booker is always coming off of an elbow. So it's not like a traditional big man and he's on a wing. No, he's coming off there. From there, he can get a screen from Ayton, go towards the basket, come up, do a pick and roll with Chris right there too, and Chris can come off of a double pick and roll if Ayton's there. Or while he's just chilling over on the elbow, he can dive to the basket, he dives out, or he'll go set a pick for the guy in the corner. There's so many different things that you can do. And the second the Lakers thought they had it, Devin Booker did something completely else, dove to the basket right for a layup. So there's a lot of different things that they are doing that we did not see in the playoffs. And what I said all year, I wondered all my hate for DeAndre effing Ayton. And I kept asking Gabe, and I said, Gabe, do you think there's a possibility they're saving things for the playoffs for Ayton? And out of nowhere, signed the petition to stop Kid to Portland. Yes, I saw that. Everybody go and sign that, by the way. But lo and behold, we're doing things that we haven't seen all year, and it's great to see. It's absolutely awesome, Salty. I'll hop on soon. Awesome. We'd love to get you on here. So when Tory tells me how many screens can he run over, just boom, you're going to have to go over 3 or 4 before even Book gets the ball. And then you're going to have to go through 2 or 3 pick and rolls, depending on if it's Torrey Craig. Crowder will pop out there, and they'll do pick and pops, or if it's just going to be to DeAndre Ayton. But the way you stop the Phoenix Suns is you need to force Devin Booker to make a decision. But every time the Lakers tried to do that, he was ready for it this year, right? Like, one of Gabe's biggest complaints is whenever he's in double coverage, he's going to do something stupid. He turns it over. He forces a bad shot. Didn't like that. And then all of a sudden this series comes up. The second he sees it, he's going the other way, very Kobe-esque. Or they back off and then he attacks that person that's backing off. So you don't want to double him because he can handle that now. And if you play drop scheme, you guys are going to get crushed by the middies. That's where he wants to live.
Yeah. But I mean, I think that's, again, I just think come crunch time, I don't want the rest of Phoenix to have confidence.
No.
I'd rather it be that guy, because if you get all those guys, because Devin's already playing at such a high level right now, his confidence is sky high. You get those other guys feeling it, then it's good luck trying to weather the storm. Listen, there's no good answers here. Okay. Like, Phoenix is a really good basketball team. So it's really at the end of the day, it's picking your poison, because they're going to score, but it's what's the best way to try and neutralize it the best you can.
And
There's just no good
unfortunately for
options.
you guys, we haven't even brought up Campaign and his ability to take everybody on the Lakers, especially LeBron, off the dribble and go right to the cup with just nothing there.
Can
Gabe,
I comment? I just
please.
wanted to comment on what Steven was saying about he doesn't want the rest of the Suns to have confidence. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but the Suns have never ever had more confidence. You're already going to get the most confident Suns team you've ever imagined in your wildest dreams. We just broke LeBron's back in front of God and everybody, and we tossed him off of a waterfall like Black Panther. Okay? Devin Booker just stood over him like Killmonger and flexed and said, "Is this your broken king?" And then that king turned around, signed his jersey, gave it to him, and pointed to him. This whole team is as confident. Dario Saric hit a fadeaway three-pointer.
That says enough.
It's too late. We're already confident. I think the most important thing is, are you guys just that good? And I still kind of think it's possible, man, because you guys didn't lose any steam when Murray went down. If anything, you gained in the standings. And I know nobody but me cares about the regular season, but that means something to me. Like, MPJ is growing. Like, he could take another step in this playoffs. And
he can break our back.
Well, I mean, he's going to have to. And he had some – it's a tale of two experiences watching MPJ. It's you see the special part, the 6 for 6, 7 for 7 in the first half or the first quarter, getting 22 points against Portland. And then there's, in the rest of that game, I think he scored 4 or 6 more points. Or there's game 3 or 4, whatever one it was, against Portland, where he had three points. So he can't get bullied by guys that are 6'10" or 6'4". Norman Powell should not be able to move you off of your spot at 6'10". That just shouldn't be a thing. And Phoenix has better defenders than Norman Powell. Okay, stronger defenders. Jay Crowder, Mikal Bridges,
Torey
Craig. So I mean, he's not going to be able to do those. Like you can't back down on those things. He's got to learn. One, he has the worst hands in the NBA. I'm one of his. He cannot catch. For I don't know who drops more balls, him or Jerry Jeudy. It just blows
Probably
my mind.
DeAndre Ayton.
I thought you were talking about DA.
No,
talking about MPJ.
Michael Porter has the absolute worst hands in the NBA, and I will go on any show and say that his hands are awful. But he's got to get better at that. He's got to also learn how to read screens and navigate them. He settles too many times with guys on his hip. You got to curl that and go to the basket at 6'10". That's either a foul or it's a layup. Too many times he peels off and he settles for a jumper. He has no face-up game right now. When he gets it in the post, he has no face-up game. He has no post game whatsoever. You saw it a few times where he got in the post against Norman Powell. He takes 2 dribbles and he doesn't know what to do. And then he passes it back out. But again, the pressure is on him because he's going to have to be at 25 and 10 a night. He has to. Jokic is going to do what Jokic does, but he has to be there. I would feel completely different, obviously, if this was a healthy Nuggets team because they present so many matchup problems. But again, there's just the backcourt being down, MPJ being a second-year, 22-year-old in the playoffs with a now elevated to you have to be the second-best player every night. It's just too much to ask for this team right now. But I will say this. Phoenix, and I said this on my podcast today, Phoenix has to win 3 of the first 4. They have to. The worst thing you could do is allow this to go more than 5 games. That's the danger zone because Denver has played in 4 Game 7s in the last 3 or 4 years. I mean, the Utah series, the Spurs series in 18, the Portland series in 18, the Clippers series. So if this isn't over in 5, like that's now you're giving them life, and that's what you don't want to do. Because if it's Game 7 and you're asking me who do I trust, Phoenix, who's still a young team playoff wise when it comes to experience, or Jokic, who has played in so many game sevens already and has come up big in those moments, then I'm taking Jokic and what he does in those moments.
I was thinking about that today. That is a very fair evaluation about why Phoenix should finish in 5.
Coach,
What?
I just, since Salty's our Joker guy, first of all, welcome to the podcast.
I was just gonna go there.
Can you answer what Steven's saying here? Like, what do you think about that?
All right, so I had to switch over, so I'm not sure what I missed or what I didn't miss, but all right. So I'm just going to give you my thought process in the whole deal. What was the defensive rating for Nuggets?
Nuggets
Well,
were 11th. We were 6th, and you might have missed this. Both teams have the exact same offensive rating, the Nuggets and the Suns. But we were 6th, they were 11th in the regular season.
Okay. And you guys saw that quote from Joker that Ayton was the toughest matchup. You guys saw that, right?
I
did you?
saw
Yep.
it, and I completely agree.
And that's not him blowing smoke, by the way. Like, Jokic
he's
doesn't
not.
do that.
No, we know.
He's not that type of guy.
Joker's the only person that Ayton plays good against consistently.
So, like, when he says he really does mean that. So,
Another thing that I want to point out is the Nuggets had home court advantage against the Blazers. They don't this time. So a game 6 versus a game 6 at home. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's different situations there, right? The Suns have an advantage with home court advantage here.
It's a bigger one. It's a bigger one than we had because I think we only had 8,000 fans. How many fans you guys got?
We're full capacity. What's Denver at, Steven? What are you guys
Yeah,
at?
so
I forget.
Blazers. Yeah,
or no, well, they're
Blazers.
going to be full. Actually, they just
Oh,
okayed
wow.
that. So
Okay.
That's cool. But all right, so in my opinion with Joker, so if anybody's gonna be fair enough with him as a player, it'd be me if you watched our podcast, right? So past Joker, right? So you have him. Who's the players that you would say are your scorers, like that you could rely on day in, day out, right? Like they're gonna fill it up for you. Because typically in the playoffs, you have two stars, right? That you need to count on. CP3 got injured in the Lakers series, so that was kind of tough. Typically, right? Because you go through the West, and they have 2 stars: Damian Lillard, CJ McCollum. Obviously, you guys lost one of your best players, right? So who is that go-to guy on your team for that second scoring option?
It's MPJ, right?
yeah,
Or
well, it has
Austin.
to be Michael Porter.
Yeah.
Is
Third
he?
is Austin.
So is MPJ just every night he's going to bring it? Every night you could consistently get 20 out of him?
I think yes, every night he can get 20.
Does he?
Yeah.
Does he,
more
though?
often than
Yeah.
not? Yes.
He had a
Yes. I would
3-point
say-
game against us, but other than that, yeah.
Yeah, I would say. I mean, I
He-
think I think he averaged maybe 19 or 20 in that series,
Okay.
I was just gonna look.
which is-
Aaron Gordon's got 12.5 for what it's worth.
which is what his regular season average was around. Now MPJ's like walking out on the court should be 20 and 10. That's just how stupid talented he
See,
is.
the difference between talent and should have and would have and could have, you know what I'm saying? We said that a lot with Ayton during the season. The thing is like production's a lot different in the playoffs. And then another thing that you pointed out is the Nuggets were in other game 7s. One was in the bubble, and we've seen first and foremost with LaMickey and Lefrad, right? Both of them, they won a championship in the bubble, and the bubble is extremely different than what we're going through right now. So if you're counting that game 7, I don't think you can hang your hat on that because Murray went Michael fucking Jordan. He's not even on your team anymore, right? So those
not even
things
on
that-
your team. I mean,
Look
he's
at what
technically
Jokic
still
did
on the
in those
team.
games, too,
I
though.
mean, he's not playing, right? He's injured.
If you look at
So
what Jokic
you-
did in those game 7s, though, it's not like he was a bystander, though.
That's fine, but you know for a fact, right? You guys wouldn't have even got to that position without Murray, right? Because I remember watching him.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Okay, so
No, they wouldn't have won those series, but again, too, they wouldn't have been in the position to even come back if Jokic isn't still giving you 28. and
do you understand my
30
thought
plus.
process here? Do you understand that?
Sure.
So your thought process with their experience in game 7s and this and that, you don't have Murray. It's not the bubble. You don't have home court. Your defense isn't as good. and your offense is just as good as ours, right? And then when it comes to depth, we can have scorers step up any night, right? Crowder can go for 20, Ayton can go for 30, CP3 can go for 20, Campaign can go for 20, Cam Johnson can go for 20. The thing is like we're not dependent on star like one star like Joker, right? It's not the way it is. So
I mean, we've got three. We've got three now that Ayton is playing like it, and I don't know why. I think it's because Joker is just not fast. He's everything, but he's not fast. Is that fair? He's not fast.
Oh, 100%.
Okay,
So
Ayton is extremely fast for his size. Go ahead, Salt.
So from a defensive standpoint, right? What do you guys rank at 3-point shooting? That would be interesting to know.
They're like a top 5 team 3-point
Okay,
shooting. So that's going to be the equalizer.
We can. So our defense is not going to be like it was with the Lakers towards the end. We're going to actually have to guard the 3-point. That means it'd be a one-on-one matchup with Joker. So what could be an issue is if Joker tries to play extended minutes and Ayton gets in foul trouble, right?
Yep, that's the big one.
And we don't have an answer there, so that's the big issue, right? But other than that, I'm just looking at the matchup, and it just doesn't match up to me now. Like if I was looking at a Clippers matchup with the Suns, definitely would not be this confident because they match up extremely well with the Suns, like almost too well. Because of the way that they're bigs and they got their 2 stars and everything like that. So, like from an outside perspective, that's why I called it in 5, and I'm being generous almost there, So it's just
that's what Steven said. He thinks it's Suns in 5 too.
You probably admit I said Suns in 5.
That's crazy.
So
I wouldn't expect you to say that, man. Like, why?
Well,
are
I mean,
you
they're
down
injured. It's not the same team.
Yeah,
It's not the same. You're missing your second best player. You're missing Will Barton, who's your 4th best scorer, arguably maybe your 3rd. Listen, after the Aaron Gordon trade, they were a completely different.
Just say you're scared of Booker.
Well, sure. Who isn't? Who isn't though?
I just mess with you.
So
We're
how
scared
do
of
you
Joker.
I really got to know about how you feel about that Aaron Gordon trade. Like in retrospect, like how do you feel like about him as a player?
Well, I think he's for what they got him to be. I think he's an excellent fit, but again, he's not playing to what they got him to be. He's had to move up the roles now, the notch now. When he was brought here, it was you're the 4th or 5th option, defend the best player each night. That's what they brought him here to do. Now it's you're the 3rd option now in the starting lineup, and he's not a great shooter. Obviously, he's a supreme athlete. He can get to the basket when he wants. But again, you can't rely on that in the playoffs. Teams can build a wall for that. Phoenix has good defenders that can take that away. So again, the reason I'm coming down on Denver and saying Phoenix in 5 is just because it's not the same team. It would be like who's the second best player on the Suns? Is it DA or is it Chris Paul?
It's Chris Paul. I mean, you could argue that Chris Paul is the MVP of the Suns. Even, I mean, what Booker did in the playoffs kind of vaults him up. But the MVP of the Suns is so Booker and Paul are 1A and 1B, right? I mean, they're interchangeable.
So we'll say Chris Paul for argument's sake. What Denver is going through is like if Phoenix lost Chris Paul, DeAndre Ayton, and Campaign. That's what essentially the equivalent of what the Nuggets are dealing with right now.
And you don't need to talk to Phoenix fans about injuries, especially in the playoffs.
No, but do you guys remember before the Murray injury? Do you remember me saying that the Nuggets were the number 1 team? That I felt like because I think that was even before the trade because the way they matched up with us. Like if you guys had Murray, you guys, I feel like.
If they were healthy, I think they would have come out
favored in the. Oh yeah, for sure.
I think if they were fully healthy, because again, and it was a small sample size. I think they got 7-ish games with that lineup. But I mean, if you'll remember, they played the Clippers like 3 games after that trade, and they just dogged them in LA.
Yeah.
And the funny part is that's when Jokic is at his most comfortable because he had like 17 that night. He would naturally want to be just a passer. Like there's nights where he's just like, somebody else score, please. if they were fully healthy, I think they come out of the West. Now, I don't think they would have gotten past Brooklyn. But that's just me. But
Harden just got hurt today. You never know, man.
Yeah, I mean, if that same circumstance would have happened, sure. But I don't think they would have gotten past Brooklyn. But the way they were playing, again, it was a small sample size. But the starting lineup, I mean, you're Murray, who can go for 25 plus a night. MPJ, who's a third option. Jokic, Barton can give you 17 to 18. And then Aaron Gordon, who's a 12-point-a-night game. That's your fourth or fifth option on nights.
Yes.
And then you go to the bench, and it's Monte, who we just saw in the last two games against the Blazers. It's 28 and 22.
Speaking of that's exactly where I wanted to go. I wanted to ask Tory. Tory, can you explain – you told me the first and really only thing you told me that the key to beating the Nuggets was to not go under the screen on Monte Morris. Is that all we need to do?
To defend Morris, I mean, he's talented. I liked him in college, man. I thought he was a steal late second when Denver got him. But, I mean, yeah, we went under screens on him. We dropped the big on him. He was able to walk into a lot of open threes. So that's the thing is, like, I don't see you guys doing that with him. So it's going to be more of a test. He's talented, but there's no way you should be dropping 28 points on us and 22 points on us.
That's an anomaly.
Yeah, I mean, it's just dumb coaching, and it kind of everything goes back to that. Why in the world are you consistently going under screens on Monte Morris, even when he's on fire? Like, he's already a 38, 39% three-point shooter, and then he's on fire in game 5, and we keep going under screens on him. We keep dropping the big on him. It's just ridiculous. So he may be able to have some success against you guys, but he was able to kind of walk into a lot of mid-range jumpers. We switched Melo onto him a lot. He had it so easy in that first round series. And it just goes back to the way we were coaching the defensive end of the floor.
Yeah, I think for Monte, he lives where he wants to live is 12 to 18. That's where he wants to live. And he's really good in that range. It surprised us how good he was in the two-man game, because that's Murray and Jokic's like shining time. Late in game, Jokic is directing traffic, waving everyone off. Go sit in the corner, Campazzo, MPJ, whoever you are, and it's a two-man game and it's a pick and roll. With Murray, you can't go under the screen. You go over the screen, he's good enough to get to the basket or hit a tough shot. With Monte, he's a decent three-point shooter, but you can't go under if he's going to live in the 12 to 18 range, because he's money from mid-range. But I think he impressed a lot of us with how good he ran the two-man game, because once Portland did start to turn their attention to him, then he got it to Jokic, and then from there it was layup, a switch on to Covington. It wasn't good. So I think Phoenix has enough defenders. It's just a bad time for the Nuggets. I mean, you're getting a Phoenix team that's not only rolling, they have great defenders that they can throw at the Nuggets' leftover options offensively. That's why I just don't see how Denver can combat that.
Why do I feel like you're just trying to lull us into a false sense?
I'm not. This is the truth.
You're like setting up the expectations.
But don't go to game 7.
Yeah.
Don't go to game 7, because I wouldn't want that. If I was a Phoenix fan, I don't want to see Jokic in game 7.
We said that against the Lakers
great.
series for sure. The last thing that we want, just as Suns fans in general, is a game 7.
No. I mean, they're one hand tied behind their back. So
Literally.
Phoenix and I.
So then
why
why not Suns in 4? Why not a sweep?
Well, because I think Jokic is good enough to get 1.
Is that what you think, Salty? Is that why you say 5?
That's fair.
Yeah, because you got to give a team at least one game with that good of a player on there. I mean, he's the MVP of the league almost, So single-handedly or team-wise, I feel like they'd probably win one at home, right? I don't know.
Yeah, I'd say they probably get game 3.
Yeah.
Game 3 or game 4, but outside of that, yeah.
I think game 1 is huge for Denver because
Yeah.
you guys were talking about Phoenix is confident. All right.
Mhm.
And it got me thinking, what if Phoenix is overconfident? You guys just beat the Lakers, and now you're going up against an injured Denver Nuggets team. You guys are riding high on cloud 9.
Good point.
I feel like,
Point.
you can't overlook Denver. And I'm not saying you guys will, but I mean, there's a chance that you guys might be a little bit too confident and kind of overlooking them, considering who you just beat. And Denver might come out in game one on the home court and kind of shock you a little bit. Like if Denver can come out and put together a good game one, especially if they win that game, I think it kills all the momentum that the Phoenix Suns had from round one, all the confidence they had. All of a sudden now they lost home court advantage and they're in a hole. I think game one is super important for both teams, for Phoenix to continue that momentum from game one and for Denver to cut it off. Or to continue the momentum from the first series. That's what
I've been thinking that, but then I think back just to even our game one and then how games 2 and 3 were just so drastically different. So I don't want to, even if we lose, I don't want to get down to the dumps over one loss in the playoffs, because what Monty Williams has proved to me this year, which me and Salt and Gabe went on to Monty because he wasn't adjusting. Man, we have seen nothing but adjustments from him and a willingness to adjust. And he'll say, we need to get the ball to Dario more. And we're on the podcast, what the hell are you talking about? And then he doesn't play again. So I do 100% trust what Monty is going to be able to do and the adjustments that he can make, because I don't know if there's too many different styles that Denver can play considering their injuries and where they're at. They kind of are what they are, whereas we have different things that we can throw at you, not even nightly, but quarterly. And that's something that we haven't been able to see. So I'm really excited to see what adjustments both team makes. But unfortunately, just again, due to injuries, I think Denver just kind of is what they is. And Phoenix should be able to exploit that the longer it goes on. So even if we lose game one, I'm not going to be too down in the dumps, because I trust our coaching staff and all of our guys coming in there, just for what it's worth.
Hey, just for the record, I keep wanting to call you Jokic first cousin. Steven, can you tell us, because Monty Williams listens to every episode. He doesn't comment a lot, but he listens. Could you tell him real quick, what's the best way to guard and stop Joker if there is anything that works?
There's not.
You've already said we've already established that Ayton is his best defender of the year. Right?
Me personally, even though we talked about it earlier in the podcast, if I'm facing the Nuggets, my goal, I'm getting the ball out of Jokic's hands as much as possible. Now, there's a thought process that Jokic is naturally passive, force him to score every time, because eventually he just won't want to. But in the playoffs, he shows that, okay, if you're going to let me score, I'm just going to score. Me personally, I would double him. If I'm playing Denver, I don't buy that Austin Rivers is going to knock down all these shots. I'm not buying that MPJ is going to be consistent. That's just how I would approach it if I was Phoenix. Now, I think Ayton does provide a good athlete to combat Jokic. So I think you can try and just do the one-on-one matchup, but then again, then you risk the foul trouble aspect of it, right? And we've already talked about that. I mean, we saw it with Portland. If Ayton were to get in foul trouble, good luck, Jay Crowder, Torey Craig, Kaminsky,
Frank the Tank,
Dario. Good luck. It's just not going to work for you. So I think the best way is me personally, I would double them. If I'm any team playing the Nuggets and I have to game plan for them, I'm doubling Jokic. And I don't want the ball in his hands, because that's when he is at his best. When he can make decisions for this team, then that's when he is at his best. But that's just me. That's how I do it.
Go ahead, Tory.
I would say don't let him get towards the baseline. When he posted up, he kind of ate against us getting towards the baseline. I think you got to try and force him middle, and then it's easier to help there. There you can kind of swarm without overextending. So that was kind of a key that we were looking for. It seemed like he had a ton of success. Just, if he's on the left block, spinning to his right-handed hook towards the baseline and banking that type of stuff in. He spun to his left hand on the opposite side of the court too, off of drives a lot, where he'd kind of drive right towards the middle, wait for Nurkic to cut him off, then he'd spin towards the baseline to his left-handed shot. And you can't really help when he does that. So you got to make sure you're kind of forcing him towards the middle of the floor. It's easier to help there. And it seemed like when we were kind of able to do that, we were able to have more success compared to when we let him get towards the baseline.
Yeah. And you got to do your work early on Jokic too. And what I mean by that, there's a set that Denver runs where Jokic is on the opposite side and they set screens for him and he runs past the free throw line to get to the opposite block. If you let him get to that block, you're in trouble. You have to keep him high. You have to battle him and keep him elbow extended and make him work you back down. Because if he gets positioning, I mean, you just have to do your work early. Like Ayton is going to have to do his work early. I don't know if this is going to be a great offensive output for Ayton series. I think he's going to have to focus a lot on defending.
That's why okay. So you're saying that him having to play so much.
I think he's just going to have to expend a lot of energy.
See, because I don't see Ayton. I don't ever see Ayton do well against Joker defensively. He gets eaten alive. But for whatever reason, Ayton plays very well offensively because he's too fast and nimble. And Joker's most of the time just like, yeah, all right, if you can make it, go ahead and make it. I'll swipe. But he's not getting up there to try to block Ayton.
No.
Ayton knows that. I don't see Ayton doing anything defensively against him, well. But for whatever reason, he plays good offense.
He's able to put a body into him. He's big enough to where he can stop him, and he's not going to bowl him over. You know what I mean? And I think Ayton has been a lot better than I thought defensively without getting into foul trouble, which I think is one of the biggest keys, which we've all said it multiple times. The thing that I'm actually scared of is the effect that Aaron Gordon is going to have guarding Booker and how that's going to affect Booker, because we've already established how Aaron Gordon looked earlier in the year when he was with the Magic guarding him. And then you guys asked earlier what MPJ averaged in the playoffs. Well, he averaged 18.8, shot 42% from three, and only got 6.7 rebounds per game. But that 18.8 definitely needs to be 25, 26, 27 if they're going to stop Phoenix. I'm actually a little more concerned with J. Michael Green. He came into one of the games that played against Phoenix and did really well. And this is just a really weird matchup for both teams. We've only played you guys 9 total times in the playoffs. Since
he said, "Don't be concerned."
Don't be concerned. JaMychal Green has he's been very disappointing this year. He's had moments,
and he's the exact type of guy that would come off the bench and give fits to the Suns, grabbing 10 rebounds and getting 18 points. We have serious Stockholm syndrome over here. Okay, you have no idea. I mean, I'm not really worried about Paul Millsap anymore. That dude is going to score.
Painful.
8 to 10 points and maybe play 12 to 15 minutes if you're lucky. Monte Morris, I'm not too worried about. But MPJ, the matchup's just weird because all 3 of our games against each other happened in January in the first month. Completely different teams. The additions that you guys had, the injuries that you guys have, we're rolling more than we ever did before, and we actually have Ayton doing things, which he always did against the Nuggets. One game against you guys, Booker didn't play because he got injured. Exactly, and then there was another game that happened in one of them, but Gary Harris played a pivotal role in those games as well too. Yeah, don't get me started on that and the travel by the guy that's out and
2.5 steps.
But your guys is for one of your guys' wins, your starting lineup was Gary Harris, Jamal Murray, Will Barton, Paul Millsap, and Jokic. Jokic is the only one left over now.
There.
Yeah.
It's a vastly
three of those players aren't there with Will Barton being out, and Millsap isn't even starting now. He's on the bench.
Yeah.
So
night and day.
What Tory said about game 1 is really resonating with me because the more I'm thinking about all this too, there's going to be a feeling out process for both teams, for sure. For sure. If Chris Paul is ready to go and Campazzo tries to do anything, like I know you were talking about he's a pesterer, he's going to get under there kind of like a JJ Barea. Dude, nothing pisses off Chris Paul more than somebody like that. And if Chris Paul is healthy, we could see 25 plus points every night from Chris Paul, where Booker's like, okay, Aaron Gordon's on me. I'm going to score 17 to 20, but we're going to have everybody else do things too. So Aaron Gordon, if you want Booker to score and have everybody else kind of play facilitator role, you don't want Aaron Gordon on him. You want him on somebody else. And if that's the route that they're going to go, I can see Devin Booker coming over 1,000,001 screens just to get the ball. We'll see how he handles that. And then we'll see how Chris Paul does with your guys' defense. But there is going to be a feeling out point. I am worried. I'm honestly worried about the first 2 games. On game 3, I feel confident. I am going to game 3, by the way. I'm going to be driving out.
Hell yeah, man. Congrats.
So I'm totally stoked about that. But the rest of the series, I just think Monty Williams and company are going to be able to flip the switch and make a couple adjustments.
I got a quick question for Salt.
All right. What's up?
Do you think that CP3 is going to have any sort of like chip on his shoulder about who the real MVP is? Because clearly we all know it's CP3.
No, I don't think he cares.
He can't take any more weight on his shoulder. Come on.
Nah, I honestly don't think he cares, to be honest. I think he's focused on one thing, and that's winning a championship, to be honest. And playing with his bros, he's talked about it.
He seems a little petty. He seems a little more petty than you're giving him credit for, man. Like, he's very petty.
He is petty, but not for individual shit, honestly. Like, I don't see it. Like, I don't know. I don't think that that's motivation at any point in this series, to be honest, but that's just me.
All right, shot down. I get it. Tory, you agree apparently?
What, with CP3 being MVP?
Well, okay, so that's what you're shaking your head. For the record,
That's what I'm shaking my head for.
For the record, I do think that Joker deserves it. Okay. But I mean, you saw what the Suns looked like when CP3 went down. We look like chickens with our heads cut off when CP3 got his shoulder.
Last 8 games of the regular season, man. I'm not fully buying that. You guys were growing, and you guys were legit at the end of last season. He had a huge impact, but you guys, I feel like you got to give the rest of the team more credit. You guys go 8-0 in the bubble.
Bubble obviously doesn't mean anything.
No.
I mean, look at the bubble guppies.
Where are the Heat? Where are the Lakers now?
You don't got a bunch of time.
I think part of that, though, is the quick turnaround. So you have the 4 teams that played the longest, and they had the quickest turnaround out of anybody. So, I mean, yes.
But nobody did anything for 4.5 months in quarantine.
Right. Well, sure. But I just think that's part of the reason why I think you see the Bostons, Miamis, and the LA out is because of the quick turnaround. And I don't think it's not a coincidence that all 4 of those teams were ravaged by injuries this year.
Oh, no, man. Like, everybody just played an entire season. Like, look, okay, these dudes are playing basketball in the offseason. It's not like they're like,
not at this level, though.
Nah, bro, they're in Drew League. They're doing drills.
That's not NBA playoffs, bro.
Last year, though.
Fair.
All right, so my take on the whole thing, yes, I do think that you have a lot of credence to what you're saying, okay? Jay Crowder was playing in the NBA Finals, and he's on the Suns, so there's different things that you can go back and forth with. The Lakers team was pretty much completely different than the bubble as well, so
yeah.
I mean, you could say what you want to say about the bubble if it was legit or not or whatever. It's just a different situation. This season in general is different, right? Shortened season. A lot of players didn't like that, right? A lot of the players are blaming injuries on that situation. The shortened off season, the bubble itself, people didn't like. So we could debate all that, whether, as much as we want, but we won't really know that until these 2 teams play each other. Plus, they're like, I don't know, man. The bubble is what it is. I kind of want to just flush the bubble down the toilet. You know what I'm saying? It was a good experience, but we got to move on from it, As far the thing that I wanted to ask, though, is God, I fucking forgot, dude.
That's your own fault.
It's been a long night. Let's just put it that way. But someone in the chat was saying something. That's what I went off of. But anyway, I'll remember it later, I guess.
Coach, do you mind shouting out the chat? We still got about 85 in here.
All thanks to Tory.
All thanks to Tory. All thanks to Tory. They come out for this guy.
Tory's entourage, baby.
Shout out to the Blazers.
Steven, these guys would die for Tory, but he won't admit it.
We're out of the playoffs. They're your entourage now, man.
shit.
We're all Valley Pod guys now, technically, right? So.
Well, we appreciate you guys coming out. Again, Stephen Priest Jr. over here from Behind the Glass podcast. They are on. Are you guys on Spotify or Apple iTunes yet? Are you guys just on YouTube?
Anywhere you want to find your podcast, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Anchor.
Steven, do you mind putting the link in the chat?
I don't think he can because he's not modded, but I can if you put it in the StreamYard DM.
All right,
Yeah. Put it over there. We'll get it out there. These guys, him and his co-host Brandon, I've been on there a few times. Really good insight. We had a great discussion before the playoffs started and how far everybody was going to go. And they also give a lot of NFL content on the Broncos side as well too.
Yeah, we like to make fun of the Broncos.
So please follow him. And if you guys are on Twitter and you follow us, you'll see us shouting him out as well too.
I remember what I was going to say. Do you think Torey Craig has any motivation from being on the Nuggets?
Oh, yeah.
Yes. They didn't re-sign him. They didn't want him, right?
Do you think it matters anything? You know?
Is there motive?
I mean, then he'd still have to be mad at the Bucks, which he could be mad at both teams. He could be mad at
both teams. He's not playing them, though. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I think yes, because Tory was beloved in that locker room. Now it's nothing against the guys because he loved, like, those guys love Tory and Tory loves those guys. Sure, I guess he's got something to prove to the front office for sure. Yeah, I think there's a little bit of motivation for sure.
That's interesting to hear that perspective that he was loved. You know what I'm saying? Like,
he was. Cool. They loved Torey Craig. Unfortunately, he just what they needed, and they just didn't value what he brought. So.
Because he's kind of like he's like a fan favorite in Phoenix now.
And he should be everywhere he goes. I told you guys. I mean, once you guys got him, you're gonna love him. He's a hustle guy. He's a grit guy. He makes all the dirty plays. He's not a rah-rah guy, but he makes winning basketball plays.
Why did he not? Why would you guys let him go? Like, it's like we got your ex-girlfriend. She cooks. She cleans. She's fine. She keeps her legs right. She keeps her stomach tight. It's like, why would you let this beauty go? What? I can understand the Bucks. They are loaded with length and threes.
You want to know why they let him walk? Because they thought they were going to get Jeremy Grant back.
Oy vey.
That was what I was going to ask.
They thought they were going to get Jeremy back. They were shocked when Jeremy did not re-sign. They offered, a lot of people were like, oh, the Pistons offered him more money. That's not true. The Nuggets matched what the Pistons offered. But a selling point for Jeremy was he wanted to play for a predominantly, black city in Detroit. He wanted to play for a black head coach and a black GM. That meant a lot to him.
That makes sense.
So he wanted to go there. And plus, he wanted a bigger role. He felt like he could be the guy. And for most of the season, he showed that he could be maybe not the main guy, but the number two guy. In Denver, he was the third or fourth option. So a lot of that was they let Mason go, they let Tory go. They were on the verge of letting Paul go.
That makes a lot more sense. I mean, I think we've all let a girl go because we thought we had something better on
and Jeremy did them wrong. And then at that point, it was, okay, now we got to hustle to find, JaMychal Green. All right, come on in. Then they were Hartenstein, come on in. We got to find replacements, and it was
Hartenstein.
Yeah, it was awful.
Oh boy.
So that's why.
Hartenstein is like one of those players on 2K that when you buy like the cheapest pack of players for your my team, you get a Hartenstein. You're like, what are you do with a Hartenstein card? You better give us some money if you want some real players.
Opal version, he's an 85.
Opal. Hartenstein.
But yeah, that's why they let Tory go. I think part of that was just to clear cap space to get Jeremy Grant back, and then Jeremy was like, I'm out of here. So, but I guarantee you right now, if they had the choice, they would love Tory back right now.
The real question is, what kind of impact will the true MVP Bol have on the series?
Why isn't he playing? I love Bol.
Because he's not ready.
Really?
At all. one, he doesn't play his size. The guy's 7.
I was going to say, what is his game?
How
at
tall
this
is he?
point?
He's 7'2".
Oh, shit.
Well, here's the thing. Okay, he wants to be the Kevin Durant mold. That's what he wants to be. Which,
I've
to
seen
his
that.
credit,
I've seen
he
that.
has that type of ability. He's definitely
Skill
not
set,
there,
sure, yeah.
but he can shoot. He can handle. But one, for a guy his size, you would think he would rack up blocks. He rarely protects the rim well. He's a stick for his size, so you can push him around. So, I mean, you can't put him on any sort of big because he'll get pushed around. And at the same time, he's 20 years old? So he's got a lot of maturing to do physically in the game itself. To be honest with you, I was kind of hoping they would trade him because I just don't see him having much of a future here. But I mean, who knows? I mean, a lot can change in an off season, so we'll see.
You heard it here, folks. He's getting traded for sticks. One player for player. No, I'm just kidding.
Your Bull is our Jalen Smith, which is the Blazers' Keldon Blevins.
No.
Keldon Blevins.
No.
Oh, you had
Listen,
to drop that.
Keldon Blevins doesn't even belong on a WNBA roster. I've seen it. All right. I legit, if I was gonna die and I was like, which guy's gonna get me a bucket? Tory? This is Tory is really good. Like, this isn't even like that far off. I think I would rely on Tory to get a bucket if it was to save my life over Keldon Blevins.
He being on the roster makes me wish I was Damian Lillard's cousin.
Tory, it's looking like you've got a crush in the chat here, Isaac. Why don't you throw him a wink or something, man? Throw him a little something his way.
I mean,
Come
I'm
on.
no. Isaac's like stalkerish at this point. I ban it. I ban him.
Timeout?
So
Does he need a timeout?
Oh yeah.
I mean, I think so. It's
Just
Isaac.
for old.
Would have been Timeoutville, all right?
For
You don't
old
touch
time's
him
sake?
right away, all right? He's not a piece of meat, all right?
You're in the timeout, Isaac.
Oh man, I think he said he's drunk. So yeah.
Oh shit! Oh
Well, let's see if he can sober up in 5 minutes.
yeah, in Timeoutville.
Did you guys see how drunk Eric got on the stream last night? That was great.
Really, dude, I gotta watch that. I was drunk as fuck when we were doing our post game, dude.
Eric handles his alcohol well, though. He didn't seem like he was.
Yeah,
he was just in a really good mood because they got rid of Stotts.
Awesome.
He had this big cup and just got his rum and coke. Need to go get more.
Awesome.
I think he went to the kitchen like 2 more times, just chugging this.
That's what I'm talking about, dude.
Yeah, I didn't have any alcohol on me, or else I would have been right there with them. But I got drunk later.
That third time he got up, you were like, "Are you going to get more alcohol?" And he's like, "I gotta go pee."
Yeah.
That was literally me Thursday night.
Drunk Eric is very entertaining, man.
Bro, we know how that is, the joyous celebration when you get rid of trash coaches, but we had so many before Monty. Mm-hmm. Like, we would have been drunk as skunks every off season, Yeah.
Well,
we just had terrible coaches, man.
Imagine having Earl Watson for 9 years and then getting rid of him.
I sent everybody in the chat. I sent Eric an invite. I figured he's probably busy. He might be in trouble with the wife. Wasn't he a little bit in trouble?
He's got to spend time with her. Don't do that to him.
He said he made it up to her. So
salty story.
We're dropping donuts to help him out of the doghouse. So
oh shit!
Nice. I think she's okay with it.
So I feel like we've kind of beat this series to death a little bit, but Tory,
on to the finals.
On to the finals.
Just kidding.
Tory, you're kind of the not the odd man out here without a team, unfortunately. But I'll pose 2 questions to you: the Phoenix Suns will win if, and the Denver Nuggets will win if.
The Phoenix Suns will win if Chris Paul is healthy. The Denver Nuggets will win. I mean,
that says it all. No, I'm just kidding.
The Denver Nuggets will win if I don't know. Why you got to put me on the spot with that? I can't even come up with anything. The Denver Nuggets will
I
win
thought
if
you were
Jokic
prepared.
and Michael Porter Jr. dominate this series. I mean, they're going to need those
If
two
Michael
guys.
Porter
to just
Jr.
dominate.
goes Michael Jordan, they win.
Listen, this is setting up for us to look like Nick Wright style assholes. the way we're treating Steven right now is like I don't like it. We're going the Nick
Hey,
Wright route.
props to him for coming on and taking it, and him saying that his team was.
Did you
lose
not?
in 5.
Did you not hear me that I said that they would have been favored if they didn't lose Murray? Come on, man. He said it too.
I know.
He knows it. He knows it. They've overperformed because. Do you remember how you guys were talking shit about the Nuggets when they lost Murray? Oh, they're toast, and then they won all those games and finished where they finished.
And now we're playing them.
They over exceeded any expectations anybody had for them. They knocked out the Blazers in the first round, dude. They did more than anybody would have thought. So if they go out second round, it's no knock on them. They lost their second best player, dog.
So you said it sounds like what you're saying is very similar to us on the pod Thursday night. Granted, you were drunk, so you have a time to backtrack this a little bit. But you said the Suns were playing with house money at this point. With the injuries that Denver has, beating Portland and going farther than for anybody expected, it sounds like you're saying that they're playing with house money too. Do you feel that way about both teams, or do you think at this point the Suns need to win this series and we're not playing with house money?
Are you talking to me? You're talking to me, right?
Yes,
okay.
Yes.
All right, so there's a certain thing called what have you done for me lately, right? Expectations change on the fly. So beating the Lakers, as good as it was, it has a certain time period. It's like a shelf limit for anything that you put on the shelf, because yes, we all enjoyed that. It's huge. But the thing is like if you're favored in this series and you took care of your business against the defending champions and then you choke against this team that's hurt, that's missing their second best player and their third best player or whatever, and you come out and you lose this series, it's going to end on a sour note. And there's no way that house money carries over, right? You're still in the casino. If you had that house money from the Lakers series and you bet it all on black and you lose that shit, you go home broke. Okay? So that's the story. So they need to win.
So,
Period.
Steven,
Yeah.
the Denver Nuggets win if
Jamal Murray gets Adrian Peterson's ACL and can rejuvenate within 3 weeks and come back and play.
All right.
No, I mean the Nuggets win if I honestly think they win if Phoenix is overconfident. That's really it. I think if Phoenix is on such a high that they kind of just don't take this team serious. Like I said, they have to get it done in 5. I really think Phoenix has to get it done in 5 because you don't want to let this team hang around. You just don't. So I think, if Phoenix is overconfident, then I think that's how they win because, I expect Jokic to be Jokic. I don't know what I'm going to get from Michael Porter. I expect him to be 18 and 10, but they need him to be 25 and 10 to 15 a night. I think Phoenix wins if they just come out with the mindset that we're not finished yet. The job's not done. We're hungry. The West is wide open. Really, the NBA is wide open at this point. Like I was talking about it with Brandon, my co-host, earlier today. I was like, it really feels like this is if you were Phoenix and you could drop a perfect scenario that you're first in the playoffs, it would be you get the Lakers who are hobbled and you get past them. You get the second round.
Yes.
It's the Nuggets who are hobbled. And then say if Dallas wins, you get to choose between Dallas, who you guys own. Fat Boy Luka, as Gabe likes to call him. I love that. Or you get Utah, who, while I think that would be a really fun series, I would probably go Phoenix in that. And then on the other side, you have Brooklyn, who's missing James Harden, or Milwaukee, who I think you guys would match up well with. This is
Embiid with the meniscus.
Yeah. Oh, can I also say too? I hear a lot about the greatest big in the game right now. A lot of people throw out AD. A lot of people.
Rob, I hope you're
Embiid.
listening.
It's funny how these guys are hurt, right? But the only guy that's played every game this year and is still in the playoffs.
You just broke his. You might as well
The
ran up to
smoke.
him. You might as well have went up and just Nancy Kerrigan him. Why would you
It's
say
true.
that?
I'm
Hey,
just
so-
saying.
it's true. It's
It-
very
everybody
true.
says AD. AD just wants to be cute and he wants to be KD. He doesn't want to be big boy and be on the block where he
Yep.
should be.
He was
He's
asked
a
this
4.
year, too.
Yeah.
He's a 4,
Compared to
baby.
his standard.
And Joel, I mean, as great as he is, when are we going to realize that he's just not available? When
He's
are we going to
glass,
realize
man.
that?
He's glass.
Right. But no, back to the point. I mean, this is like a perfect scenario for a young team in Phoenix. What I would worry about if I was a Suns fan is this almost feels too good to be true. It just feels like things are lining up too perfectly. That would be my fear.
I've compared it multiple times, and I'm glad you're here, Steven, because you're bringing common sense back into the fold here.
Well, what are me and Coach chop liver?
No, but like
No, he's talking about Tory.
Oh, okay.
No, we're talking about like we have that like what'd you call it, Evan? The
Stockholm syndrome.
Stockholm syndrome. I'm
Yes.
past that with the Lakers series, man. I feel like we vaulted that and we got the monkey off our shoulders, and we can finally say, you know what? If anything would have, because you remember where we were at before that series. We're like, motherfucker. I was like the gods hate us, the basketball gods hate us. Arizona sports is cursed. We got the Lakers in first round.
Chris Paul
And
went down in the first
Chris
game.
Paul gets injured, but then we still win the series. You got to just, that's house money, right? I mean, at that point, you got to just say that Arizona sports curse is kind of over, because we would have lost that series typically. And then you look at what Steven's saying, the Nuggets are hurt. They don't have their second best player. And if the Mavs somehow pull it off against the Clippers, which they very well could, because no home team has won a game this series. And Luka loves to slap up the Clippers in LA. So if Luka goes off for like 45 and they win, then you got the Mavs in the Western Conference Finals. And don't tell me that the Suns wouldn't slap up the Mavs with their history, right? Look at it. Or the Jazz, right? And then you go to the finals, and it's exactly what he's saying. So I don't know. I look at the Heat's run in the bubble, and I know it's the bubble. No one picked the Heat to beat the Bucks, and no one saw them go to the finals and stuff. So there's as much parity as we've seen in the league. I think teams that were away have won a bunch of games this year in the playoffs, and we've never seen that. So I think it's good, man. I think it's good for the NBA. I like the playing game. I think it's more parity in the league is the better. Like, I hate these super teams. I hate the Brooklyn Nets. You know, I just don't want those teams to succeed. I want to see teams like the Nuggets, like homegrown teams, like all your players seem to be second round picks. You know what I'm saying? Like, and you guys are really good. That's what I like to see. You know, so
And then you make the trade for an Aaron Gordon. The Suns make a trade for CP3. We don't go out and sign Durant. You know what I mean? We don't go out and make those types of moves. Exactly.
Yeah, the mid markets have to do it this way. The Portlands, the Denver, San Antonio,
Pacers.
OKC. You have to build it through the draft and then hope you can land a Jeremy Grant via trade, an Eric Gordon, a CP3. That's how you have to do it. And for Denver, I mean, Tim Connolly and that front office, I would put them up against any front office in the league.
You should.
Not
From
ours.
developing Jokic, a second round pick. He was drafted during a Taco Bell commercial. Okay. You had MPJ,
The
who was
writing
passed
was on the wall.
Right,
Dude, I
passed-
wanted
right.
MPJ. I wanted us to grab
Passed
him.
on by the Clippers twice, which is funny. I mean, the Nuggets just continue to just own the Clippers, right? You pass on MPJ, he turns out to be a star, beat them in the bubble. But you pass on him. Jamal Murray, you get him at like I think it was 7 or 8, somewhere around there. So I mean, he was in the lottery, but you get him. I mean, they're really good at developing talent, but I think this is awesome for the league. All these teams, you're seeing the new wave of superstars starting to come in. The Lukas, the Jokic, Trae Young, Devin Booker,
Tatum.
all these guys. You're seeing the new wave. The old guard is starting to fade away slowly. The LeBrons,
And I love it.
KD. I mean,
I
KD's
love
still
it.
great, but that's what you're starting to see. But don't tell that to the national media because they want LA.
They're desperate
New
to
York.
cling to
Desperately.
the
They
It
they
remind-
need that.
It reminds me of the mid 2000s when the guys like Ray Allen and Paul Pierce and those guys were starting to get old. Now they're 10, 11 years in, and incoming you've got Dwayne Wade and you've got Melo and you've got LeBron and you've got all these young guys coming up. This is what it really feels like to me, with the older guys going out and the newer guys coming in. I mean, it's just a wave of guys, and it's in different cities too. And that's what I love about it. I mean, I loved when the Raptors were good with Chris Bosh, back in the day. I loved watching that. I loved watching them when they traded for Kawhi and they won. Who didn't love that? I bring up on our podcast all the time, one of my favorite all-time teams to ever win a championship ever was the 2013 or the 2014 Kansas City Royals, with nothing but kids and old 35-plus-year-old nobodies that nobody wanted, and they go on to win a freaking World Series. And then one of the better NBA champions of all time is the 04 Pistons, beating that Lakers team with a squad that didn't have any All-Stars. Next year they had four All-Stars, so I mean, that's neither here or there now. Yeah. But they didn't at the time, and all the media wants to do is talk about what LA didn't do when they lost,
and what will they do next year? And what should they do?
They're going to talk about Klay Thompson coming back. They're going to talk about the moves that they're going to do with the Lakers. They're going to talk about Victor Oladipo being healthy in Miami and what that's going to mean with Jimmy Butler.
Stephen A is going to do a fourth segment about why Damian Lillard needs to go to the Knicks.
Exactly.
It's going to be that stuff.
Can we all agree that small market teams or mid market teams just need to rally together? You know what I'm saying? Sometimes your teams go I'm just saying, I already said this a long time ago. You could check my Twitter receipts. I said if the Suns get bounced, because this is like, I think right when we got mashed with the Lakers, I said if they get bounced, I'm cheering for the Nuggets, I'm cheering for the Blazers, and I was like, that's it for the West. Yep. And you guys matched up together, which was unfortunate, but and then the Bucks on the other side, and these teams, because it's just annoying to see the news. Where's Damian Lillard going? He's going to go to the Lakers, or it's just
that's got to piss you off, Tory. That's got to piss you off so bad, knowing damn well he's not going anywhere.
Yeah,
that's the annoying part.
It's like pay attention, man. And I get why they do it. It's just for the clicks. It's because all those big market fans, those big markets have a ton of fans because they're a big market. So they all pay attention to it, and that's how they make their money. So
I'll say this though, like if Damian were to somehow either get traded or leave, I think that would be really bad for the NBA because he's a rare breed. He's a guy that is, I want to win here. You can come join me, but I'm not going to you. We saw that with Derrick Rose early, right? Where he's like, I'm not recruiting guys.
You saw that with KD early.
And then we saw what happened there. But I think if Damian left, that would be just really bad for the mid to small market teams because you need guys like that. You need guys that are like, you know what? Yes, I know I could go to LA and probably win 3 championships and join the list in the rafters, sure, and just be another great Laker. Or I could be the Blazer of all time. I could be when you think Portland, you think Damian Lillard. And I could be the guy that brought the championship.
That's who I think.
Right. Like that's you could be that guy. Now, granted, you could go out like guys like Charles Barkley and swing and miss. That's a possibility, but you're going to be beloved in that town for the rest of your life. Dame would get a statue outside of the Moda Center. That would have
happened if Kawhi stayed in Toronto.
Yeah.
When I think of Nuggets, I think bowl. When
I think Nuggets, I honestly still think Dikembe and grabbing the ball, laying on the ground.
I do too.
Really
coming up after that. That's what I think of, and then after that, I think of Melo and AI together.
I was gonna say AI.
Melo and AI.
Curse of blue jerseys.
But then, I mean, I love those jerseys.
It's
but
such
I was
a weird
huge
thing.
Kenneth Faried fan too back in the day.
It's such a weird thing with Melo. It's just a weird dynamic. I think a lot of Denver is starting to finally get past Melo moving on.
Why were they booing him? Why were they
booing the shit out of him?
Well, I mean, it's he left you, and it's the playoffs, and
He went to New York.
yeah.
He
I mean,
forced his way
why.
out, and
Now-
your whole year was leading up to him wanting out. And did Melo get traded at the trade deadline?
Yes.
Or was that was like
Yeah.
at the trade deadline?
Yeah,
Yeah.
They
the
got
trade
all those
deadline.
picks. That's how they
Gallinari, Wilson, Chandler.
loaded up their teams. Man.
Timothy
You guys
was
got
a stick in that trade. Like the Knicks did not want to part with Mozgov. That was like, oh, we got to hold on to Mozgov, and that
And
was
he
it.
signed for 4-year, $56 million a couple years ago.
What player
Unreal.
came out of that trade though, Steven? I mean,
Jamal Murray.
you know? Yeah.
Jamal Murray.
I mean,
That's who you
because
got.
like when I was watching the Blazers, like when they're starting to do their rise, you look at them and it's like a bunch of no-namers, and they're still really good. I'm like, how is this happening? And then you guys draft Joker in the second round, right? And you just pulling these guys out of nowhere. And that's why I like that team. These guys give me shit about it, but I respect a team that builds the right way. Because the reason why I stopped watching Major League Baseball, number one, their salary cap is just trash, right? There's just very little ramifications for going over it. So you have these big market teams that could just
in baseball.
Yeah, so you could just spend and spend and spend and spend, right? The LA Dodgers can spend like $500 million if they wanted to, right? And then the lowly old Diamondbacks, you know what I'm saying? They're spending like $50 million and having some scrub ass team, and there's no parity. That's the reason why the NFL is king right now, is because there's parity across the league, right? You can go from worst to first. So that's why, like, when I see the situation, like the NBA and the way the landscape is right now, I really like it because everybody has a chance, and that's why I hate these super teams. I want them to go away. Like, the fact that anybody can have a chance to go to the title, that makes it exciting. Plus, they have this playing game, which makes it even more exciting. I just like it, man.
Can I just say too, because I see Tino Hernandez. Melo did everything for you guys, and you still hating him. I don't hate Melo. Now, I'll be honest with you. I was salty the first 2 years after the trade, for sure. I think once he left New York, though, I was like, okay, I'm good. It is what it is. Let it go. I think before Jokic, his jersey should have been retired. I think it would have been. And then Jokic comes along. So now that's a tough situation. But I still hope that the Cronkies will honor him someday, because he brought the Nuggets back into relevance. And I hope he finishes his career here. I hope he plays his last year in Denver. I hope they make that happen.
Y'all can have him next year.
Yeah, I saw his stats. I thought, here's the funny thing. I thought Melo played great in that series. Like, it seems like every shot he shot went in. And then Matt Moore tweeted out his stats today. He was brutal. He shot like 38%, and I was like, man,
Take out game one.
Shot he was taking was going in. Yeah, most of it was game one that he played really well in. But yeah, it was bad. But I hope he finishes his career here. Melo's is an all-time great Nugget, but unfortunately, Jokic is, I think, already better.
Yeah. What are we watching here?
I just figured we in the background. See this.
So before we kind of close out, I've got my coach's keys to the game that I was actually pretty successful on. What?
I didn't get to answer your brilliantly crafted question.
Oh,
the Suns win if and come on.
I'll blame Salty for going off on a tangent. I forgot.
Okay.
Suns win if.
Okay. Suns win if we close out on 3-pointers. Bottom line, I think that's the most important thing. We did a really good job against the Lakers late in that series. And if we can just do that, hey, is that the number one?
That's not the number one, but it's go
right
ahead.
up there. Okay. And then have you guys seen the show Friday Night Lights?
Yeah.
Clear eyes, full heart, can't lose.
Do you remember when Jason Street went and got shark DNA? I think that's what they need to do for Jamal Murray. If they can do that, watch out, Monty. Sorry, go ahead, Coach. Give me the keys.
So my first and foremost is the exact same one that I had with the Lakers, starting from game one. Do you guys remember what that was, Salty or Gabe? Pathetic. So disrespected on this show. Number one, First and
I'm sorry,
foremost,
I
through
don't
this
remember
whole
the
goddamn
first team.
playoffs, Devin Booker needs to be an all-star.
That's what it was.
I was getting
Number
alcohol,
one.
by the way. So
First and foremost. After that, because the Nuggets do rebound at a higher rate than us, and they're bigger than us, I'm afraid of they're going to do things like get guys off their spots for three-point shooters, which is going to lead to misses and also rebounds. We need to gang rebound again, like we saw from game 4, 5, and 6 for the Suns, or especially game 1, I guess. Then I think we have a chance. Gang rebound for this team. Third one, force the shooters off their spot and guard the three. Don't just like let them get a pass and go out there, chop your feet a little bit and put your hand up. No, force them off the spot. I think these are way different shooters than we dealt with in round 1. And then the fourth one, stay out of foul trouble.
Yeah. It's all good in my mind.
DA especially because he's guarding Joker.
Absolutely.
Once again, he did a good job in the Lakers.
If Booker gets into foul trouble, dude, with a hobbled Chris Paul, I don't trust that, dude. And you know Chris Paul could go out anytime he gets picked or boxed out, man. We saw him flailing on the ground 2 or 3 times after the initial injury, so you never know what could happen. I want to go around the horn. I want to get everybody's official prediction for this, but I also want to get an official prediction of Game 7 between the Mavs and the Clippers. Tory, let's start with you. Mavs and Clippers, who do you got?
Clippers. I mean, you gotta take the more talented team at home in a Game 7. But obviously, this series has just been super weird. Every road team's won, so I guess Dallas has road court advantage in this one. But my prediction would be Clippers.
And Suns and Nuggets, who gets it? How many games?
I say Suns in 5.
I love it. Stephen Priest, Mavs Clippers, who you got?
Ah, man, this is a weird series. It's just weird. I've never seen a series in which a team didn't win a home game going into Game 7. It's just weird. At least I don't remember one. I think the Clippers have to win. I think Kawhi needs it for his legacy. I think Paul George needs it for his legacy. I think the Clippers, if they want to stay relevant, need it as a team desperately, because I wouldn't be shocked if Kawhi left if they lost and this just gets broken up. I think the Clippers have to win, and I think they will win. A sneaky thing to watch out is Luka hasn't been great in the fourth quarters of this series. And if it's close, he doesn't want to go to the free throw line. He's not good at shooting free throws, which is just annoying to me that guys that predominantly handle the ball cannot shoot free throws. But I think the Clippers win it in Game 7. And then I think for, obviously, with the Nuggets Suns, I think the Suns in 5.
That takes balls to go on another podcast and say that. We appreciate you.
Yes.
respect.
Salty, Clips or Mavs?
All right, so, man, I made a prediction. What was it? So the Mavs went up 2-0, right? I said if the Clippers win Game 3, they'll come back and win in 7. So that prediction would say that the Clippers are going to win. What do I want to happen? I want the Mavs to win, but what do I think is going to happen? I think the Clippers are going to win. I think they've woke up. I think Kawhi, what he did in a elimination game, is just kind of a preview, and they're just more talented team. So just like Tory said, pretty easy pick there, unless Luka proves everybody wrong and just goes fucking Michael Jordan, right? Scores 50 or something, because he does that in LA, right? And it's been a weird series where no home team has won. So if it stays with that trend, then the Mavs will win. So let me pick it. I'm going to pick against the spread. Let's go Mavs. Luka goes off. They take it home because that helps the Suns. So I'll go with that. As far as the Suns series goes, I'm going to call it in 5. If it goes 6, I'll be happy to be wrong, just like I was wrong with the 7-game pick, because the Suns win regardless, right? I mean, I bet Spurs fan Gary $25, but a win's a win, right? If they go 6 and they win, or whatever happens, they win. So that's it.
And you think Suns in 5, right?
Yes.
Gabe, Clippers, Mavericks. Are you going to be doing another stream with Romp like you've been doing?
I am.
Tell us about that a little bit first.
So me and Romp have been having some pretty successful streams, man. Come check out Romp's channel. We'll put his link in the description as well.
Yes,
But Romp
yes.
2.0's got a real following out here. He's got like almost 10 G's.
I want to be on a romp stream.
Not good enough.
I
Just
wanna be
kidding.
in a Romp stream.
Yeah, man. I mean, hey, we're gonna have Romp on here soon. Hopefully next game. But yeah, I'll be doing that tomorrow night. So check out a link for that. Be looking out for that link. But my prediction for that game, and I have been watching every play since I've been play-by-playing it. The only consistent thing that I've really seen in this series is that the road team wins. So, like Tory said, the road. What did you call it, Tory?
Road court advantage.
Road court advantage,
dude.
is what I think it's gonna boil down to. And so yeah, it feels like Luka has an answer for everything they throw at him. And if he just gets a little bit of help from his teammates, which isn't asking much, I mean, I think they're gonna be fine. I think they're going to beat them. They just seem better. I don't know. They just seem like a team that plays like a team, and the Clippers play like, okay, it's your turn. Now it's my turn. Now it's your turn. And they're just not – I mean, they're not playing Patrick Beverly. They're not playing – I mean, they just don't, they don't look right. They don't look right. And then for our series, go ahead and pop it up. Nicola, Ebola, Coca-Cola, Luis Scola.
Oh,
Don't matter, Suns in 5.
Oh my god.
That's good. I like that. That's good.
I like it.
Let's hope so.
my-
For our series, I'm going Suns in 6. I just feel like I need to give the Suns a little. I need to respect the Nuggets, and I think at least 2 games, if not more, go to the Nuggets. So I can't go 5. I just can't do 5 or a sweep. Not against the MVP, who really is the MVP.
I'm gonna go Clippers. I think they're going to win. I hope the Mavericks win. I really do. But I'm gonna go Clippers. And then in our series, I'm gonna agree with Gabe. I'm gonna go Suns in 6. I think there's going to be more of an adjustment period than we want to say. I think we drop one of the game 1, game 2 at home, and I think we split just like we did in LA, in Denver. Maybe game 3, getting used to the altitude or something like that. I could just foresee that happening. I also see a game where where the Nuggets are going to be on fire. I do see a game where Austin Rivers is going to do something like 6 for 9. MPJ is going to go 7 for 8, and Jokic is going to get his 35 plus. I see that happening. Sadly. Ultimately, I think we come back and we win. We'll win game 5 and we'll win game 6 on the road. I think we will make the adjustments that need to happen. And until we see otherwise, I'll say Suns in 6 for the rest of the playoffs. So that's what I got.
For the record, I could be just hedging my bets to, you know what I'm saying? Like I am kind of just being a sissy with that pick. I'm just scared to say. I just feel like it's bad juju to sit here and be like, we're gonna sweep them.
You're still
It's worked so
Stockholm
far.
syndrome, dog.
Absolutely. Anybody got anything else? Are we
What about
wrapping
the
up?
East?
The East.
Yeah. Let's run through it all. I mean, might as well.
Yep.
Go Bucks.
Yeah.
Bro,
You guys have the
Can I
Bucks,
just-
even though they lost tonight?
Can I just
Yeah, it's
can
only
I just
one.
comment? Can I just comment on that game? What's up with Blake Griffin? Like what? So he couldn't play with Detroit, and all of a sudden he's getting like 20 and 20 or whatever it was,
Bamboozled.
or 18 and 16, or
Bamboozled. Exactly.
that shit's annoying. Like
Yeah.
this team is more like this Brooklyn team is more annoying than the super team in Miami or Golden State, dude. I swear to God, dude, because you have like Kyrie Irving saying he's gonna get this win for the world or doing
Yeah,
it for
dude.
the world or some bullshit, and then it's just the most stacked team I've ever seen in my life. Like KD, you might as well put LeBron in there. KD, fucking Kyrie, throw in the kitchen sink. Everybody's there, dude.
Lucky that LaMarcus Aldridge retired. I mean, it sucks for the health reasons, but yeah.
Yeah, he was going to be on that team. It's just like if you're a Brooklyn fan that I don't know if they exist, but you've been through the bad times and shit. Like, could you really just hold your hat on this championship if it happens? Like, super team champions got to feel like the most worthless shit ever, dude. Like, it's weird. Like, you're just, stacking an all-star team and then you get a championship. Who gives a fuck, dude? I mean, there's no passion there and there's no
That's true.
build up,
Tory, what were you going to say?
About Milwaukee?
Or Brooklyn. I thought you were going to say something.
Yeah, I'm rooting for Milwaukee. I think it would be great if they were a champion. Considering Giannis was a guy that everybody had leaving, going to a big market, yada yada.
God,
He's loyal and stays. Okay, I think it would be good for the NBA. Maybe not for the ratings or whatnot, but just good for small markets at least if Milwaukee was successful and beat Brooklyn. So I am rooting really, really hard for Milwaukee in this one. I like Giannis. I like that he stayed. He's cool with Dame, has some similarities with Dame with him staying in the small market. So for that reason alone, I'm rooting for Milwaukee.
Yes.
Game 2 is important. If they can win game 2, Harden with his injury, assuming he's going to be out, if they can win game 2, they steal home court advantage. I'm liking their odds in that series. If Brooklyn wins game 2, I think it's going to be hard for Milwaukee to win 4 games through the rest of the series, starting with game 3. I think Brooklyn is too talented. If they go up 2-0, they win that series. So I think game 2, whoever wins game 2 wins that series.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't see Brooklyn losing that series. They're just, even with James Harden out, I mean, KD, Kyrie, Joe Harris,
Claxton was
Joe Harris
today.
Really good,
that team is just, I'm still, as good as Giannis is, I'm still not sold that he can score on the outside consistently. Now, granted, Brooklyn's defense can't really build the wall against him.
Mm-hmm.
I had Brooklyn in 6 before Harden's injury. I'd probably push it to 7 maybe now. It's just, those guys are just insane. And Milwaukee does have stoppers. They have guys that they can throw at those, Drew Holiday, PJ Tucker. But those guys are going to have to expend so much energy on that end guarding those dudes. And KD just looks like KD. He hasn't missed a beat. I just think it's hard to beat them. I just don't know how you beat them.
You know what pisses me off? I really legitimately thought the 76ers were going to knock off Brooklyn because I think they're a matchup nightmare with them. But with Embiid's injury and stuff, like, that's what pisses me off, dude. Like, because if Embiid was healthy, I would pick the Sixers over Brooklyn. But, like, I want the Bucks to beat Brooklyn, but the way they showed up tonight, I don't know. Like, if they come out in game 2 and they steal a game, just like Tory said, who knows? But they're so stacked. But I think that, like, Embiid, his size, they don't have anybody on Brooklyn to match up with that. Like, it's
Jeff
just
Green, go get him.
Yeah, and that's why I was picking the 76ers, and that's why it sucks so much. He has a meniscus injury. It's just like, fuck, dude. I was counting on the Sixers because, shout out to Romp and everybody. Like, I just don't want Brooklyn to win because they're a fucking super team, man. Anybody but them, dude. The Lakers are already out. Get the Clippers out too. They're a big, LA. Get them out.
I'm with Steven. I feel like at any point in time, Brooklyn can simply decide, okay, let's actually play hard defense, and then they'll win. And I mean, that's such a dangerous thing. However, if Harden is actually out for the rest of the playoffs, I've always said that he's their true engine. He's their true brain.
1,000%.
So whether or not they end up beating the Bucks or not, I think someone will beat them at some point if they don't have Harden the rest of the time.
Yeah.
He's that important.
Yeah.
Good.
I mean,
Good
he was
point.
the guy that had to make it work, right? Like, if this was going to work for Brooklyn, he was the guy that had to, in a sense, sacrifice. And he has, to his credit. I didn't think he had it in him to do it, but he has, and he's insane. But yeah, I just think Brooklyn in 6. I'm interested to hear your guys' takes on the Atlanta Philly series. Now that Joel is possibly out, which, listen, if your star has already had major injury issues to this point, why would you force him to play with a torn meniscus? I just see this ending.
Dude,
terribly.
I don't like it. I don't like
Horribly.
it, and I don't like what they did with AD. Seriously,
no.
man, it makes me sick to my stomach. Like, it's so selfish. It's like I talked to Romp and I said, "Bro, what do you want? Like, what do you want?" Because a meniscus is different. A meniscus is something you can literally
Yes.
just take out of your knee and throw it at
Yep.
the wall, and you don't need it. But still, it's like, do you want him? Do you want it? You got to pull it out, and that's going to take you like 2-3 weeks. So do you want to do that for him now? And then he's guaranteed he's going to have arthritis in his knee, guaranteed,
Microfracture.
and it's gonna cut his career short. Or do you want him to get it repaired and wait longer and miss the next series and the next series and literally be done? And he's like, well, he wants to play, so I think I would just let him play. It's like, no, man, no.
Yeah,
don't
no, dude.
sacrifice the future, man. Like,
Yeah.
don't bring
Yeah.
don't
They're
Brandon
saying
Roy him.
Brandon Roy, yeah, dude, that is exactly the point, man. These teams, because like when I saw AD enter the fray, man, I was thinking one thing. I was like, whatever doctor approved this needs to be sued, needs to get his license taken away. Because I was like, because there's a doctor that we quoted on Twitter, and I've never seen a doctor say things 100%. But this is what a doctor said: if this dude plays between earlier than 7 to 10 days, he will re-injure the injury and make it worse. He said for 100% fact, and he was right. And they let that shit happen. That's like malpractice. That's just irresponsibility. So like Embiid is just, man, to see it, man, it breaks my heart, dude.
With the NBA, it'll be bad for the whole NBA if they shorten that man's career.
If they Brandon Roy him, dude, I'll be pissed.
Well, my concern is, like, I get what you're saying, Gabe, about the meniscus is not necessarily something you need, but what if, he's playing on that? Naturally, there's going to be inflammation. And we've seen when players overcompensate, even though they don't mean to.
Then he's gonna hurt his left ankle.
The last thing you want is to him to blow out his other knee, or God forbid, an Achilles.
The next thing is Achilles or ankle, because it
that's
always goes down in a.
That's what AD said. He said his knee was bothering him, and that's ultimately what caused the groin injury, because he was compensating.
If I'm the Sixers, I get it. This is a championship window, but a guy that's already had injury issues, who's never played a full season or even close to that in his career yet, I'm not even risking it. I'm just, let's pack this thing in. If we get far, if we do good things, awesome. But I wouldn't even risk it. But that being said, if Joel is out or he's not himself, I wouldn't be shocked if Atlanta won this in 6. Because who's Tobias Harris? Can we trust him consistently to score? Because then he's the number one option, right? I mean, because nobody trusts Ben Simmons. That's
exactly what I was telling you, Steven. When you lose that number one option, then everything starts shuffling down, and then you're like, well, Tobias Harris, can he be a number 2 or a number 1? And it's like, well, maybe. And it's like, well, maybe he's not going to get it done in the playoffs.
You guys are breaking Romp's heart.
It's a shame, man. Because before Embiid, that was announced that he got that knee injury. That was the dark horse team that I was picking to beat Brooklyn, because I was like, all right, who's going to be the team that gets these fools out of here? Because I don't want them to go to the finals. I was like, well, maybe the Bucks can do it. And I was like, if the Bucks don't do it, then the Sixers will do it. Because I was like, they can't match up with Embiid. So that could be their saving. And then he gets injured. And I'm like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Now you're relying on Ben Simmons, who can't step out more than 10 feet.
He can't shoot.
Tobias Harris, who's a really good on a championship team. He should ideally probably be your 3, your third best player. Your fourth best player would be an excellent fourth option, a really good 3. You don't want him to be your number 1 option. And Ben Simmons just makes me angry. I don't understand how you cannot score past the free throw line at this point in your career. I just don't understand that. like at a certain point, you have to look at that guy like you're not doing enough in the offseason. This something's not translating because his form isn't awful. Like when he shoots free throws, it's not awful, but he just doesn't even attempt shots. But every year we see in the offseason, House of Highlights or someone like that tweet out, "Oh, Ben Simmons hit a 3.
He's stroking threes, yeah, in the Drew League.
He hit it on air. How many takes did you have to get that one though?
It's just, I don't know. Some shooters just never can get it together. I mean, bad form or not, like that's the biggest knock on a lot of the players coming out of the NBA, and I don't know. Some of them just can't turn it around, dude.
Yeah.
Ever.
But I think if Embiid is out, I'd probably say Atlanta in 6.
I would say if it goes Atlanta's way, it would be 7. But part of me still thinks Philly in 6.
I think the Sixers are going to win 7. That's my pick. Sixers and 7. If Embiid's hurt. Now, if Embiid's playing and he can actually perform, Sixers in like fucking, I don't know, 5 or 6.
3.
Romp feels like they can beat Atlanta without Embiid, so I'm gonna take his word for it. And Romp, you get to make my pick. What's it gonna be, Romp? Whatever you
They're
say,
on a delay, my guy. They're on a delay.
Atlanta's just so good offensively, man. They can light it up quick.
They really can. They lit us up at the end of the season.
They fucked us up in our last game.
They are one of the weird teams that just owns the Nuggets. We are their sons. They are our fathers. It's like how Gary Harris is the father of Jordan Clarkson after that Utah Jazz series in the bubble. That is what the Atlanta Hawks are to the Denver Nuggets. We cannot beat them for squat. And Trae Young he's that dude. He's Steph Curry light. Bogdanovich. I mean, Gallo still got it working. Collins. That team can score, man.
And they're hungry. They're young. I think they're playing like
Hunter.
They don't know any better.
No. And then Clint Capella too. I mean, I think with them though too, it's an experience thing though, because I mean, the most experienced playoff guy on their team is what? Lou Williams, Danilo,
and
Capella. So, but yeah.
You gotta go, Coach. You want to end us out?
I have. Are you guys? If you guys are gonna stay, cool.
No,
if not, I'm gonna.
I think it's a good time, man. We covered it all. Like, I appreciate you guys coming out.
This was.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, this was a great preview show. So again, thank you, Stephen Priest Jr. from Behind the Glass Podcast. Where can they find you on Twitter and all your fun stuff?
You can find me on Twitter at Stephen Priest Jr. PHEN. Yeah. Pretty much it.
Hello, Twitter. I love it.
Aggressive.
Just one last time. We'll say goodbye. We won't do it anymore. I just had to get it out of my system.
No, the pod. I mean, anywhere you get
We
your
can't
pods.
retire that. Sorry.
Spotify, Apple, Anchor, Google Podcasts.
We're gonna be retweeting him too, so please follow him. Obviously, everybody knows Tory Jones. We don't need to say anything about this man. No, where can we find you, bro?
Blazers Uprise. Just search Blazers Uprise on YouTube. On Twitter, I'm at Tory Jones YT. It's my name with a YT on it. This offseason, we're going to be streaming a lot. We got a second channel that we stream Mondays and Thursdays, about in the evening usually. That's Blazers Uprise Live. So search Blazers Uprise Live on YouTube if you want to go find it. We'll be covering some of the playoffs, some of the other action. It's not just a Blazers channel. And we'll be doing a stream for the draft lottery and the draft and free agency and stuff this offseason. So, if you want to check it out, would greatly appreciate it. And thank you for having me.
Going to be a lot of fun in the off season for everybody. So hopefully we can keep this going. Salty, where can we find you?
Saltiest Gaming on YouTube.
No.
Saltiest AZ fan. I think that's my Twitter at.
That's it. And Saltiest Gaming. Your real
and
channel.
Saltiest Gaming.
Is that what it is? All right.
We think. And then you guys can follow me at Gabe Von Carter, and the podcast is at Suns Valley Pod. And we're obviously going to be back Monday. with kind of a big stream.
Kind of a big deal.
And we'll have Nick Sundo there.
It's going to be a good one. Are
The
we going to do
the real MVP?
He's not joining until the second quarter.
I was just say, should we let him come in, or should we
Second
still
quarter.
do
Second quarter.
the second
You
quarter?
got to go with traditions. You know what I'm saying?
Got
Like,
it.
I'm wearing my orange jersey again, so
Okay, I have not streamed. I even wear this on Ronk stream because we haven't lost since I switched to Nash. So
I'm
you guys
not one
have-
to do those things, but I'm doing it now. all of a
if you
sudden.
guys have a lucky Suns garment, please wear it. If you have a lucky Blazers one, wear that. If you have a lucky Nuggets one, throw it in the trash
it away.
and light it on fire.
There's nothing lucky in regards to us, man.
Hey, small markets unite. That's all I gotta say, dude.
Small markets unite.
We're like
Small
the Power
mark-
Rangers forming a Megazord.
Voltron.
Small markets uprise, if you will.
Ooh.
Yes, sir.
Go.
I like it. And at Coach Evan B on Twitter, follow me at Suns Valley Podcast for our podcast Twitter. Find us here on Monday. As we just said, we're going to be doing the whole game. I'm ecstatic. I'm excited. I'm not nervous like I was going into the Lakers series for days on end. I'm just ready for some Phoenix Suns basketball, and it's going to be a great series. I can't wait to watch it. Thank you guys for joining us. Go Suns.
Hey, just real quick, Dario's cigarette butt. He came in late. He's saying, "What's our final Suns prediction?" So Salty's 5-1, a 4-1 gentleman sweep. Tory's 4-1. Steven, you said 4-1.
Mm-hmm.
Coach
You
and
guys
I,
are both
Coach and I are both 4-2.
Suns.
So for the record. But yeah,
we're thinking Suns.
we love you guys. Thanks for hosting, Coach. You did a great job, man. Thanks you guys for coming, and we'll see you guys Monday.
Go Suns.
I don't know why the music isn't playing. Should I just leave it silent?
Just end it. Just end it.
It's never done that before. No, we're gonna
Rip.
find it. We're gonna.
This
we're
is
gonna,
awkward.
We're gonna.
You're just like, okay, all right, and that's it. There we go.
We've
There
had
you go.
way more
That's
awkward.
all, folks.
We've had way more awkward things happen on this podcast. Let's be honest. Suns win.
Go Suns.
Booker, this is for the win.
Cam Johnson cutting. And a chance. Lead pass of the hand to the Warden. Here's Page about 22.5. Book on the crossover. Gets inside and hammers it down.